American Comics, My Dad is Batman, author Liu Pi. Chapter 51, Human Experiments. Please order the full version. Please customize. Jason's favorite people are those who work in technology. No matter where in the world it is. Most academic people are very naive. Dr. Connors is one of the best. Jason was just a little fooled. Dr. Connors immediately made up his mind to change jobs from Osborne Industries to work for Wayne Group. After talking about it, Dr. Connors is also very efficient. Norman Osborne, the old fox. He had long since refused to invest himself in Dr. Connors' research that was of no use to him. It's just that the scene was saved. Just let Dr. Connors go. 2 days of work. Dr. Connors took care of the family affairs and came directly to Gotham. Jason received him warmly and then took him to see the laboratory. Dr. Connors, this is your laboratory. Jason pointed to the entire building in front of him and said to Dr. Connors, Mr. Jason, which floor is my laboratory on? Dr. Connors obviously does not have a clear understanding of the Wayne family's wealth. He also cautiously asked Jason which floor his laboratory was on. There is no floor, this building is all. Jason shook his head. After Jason traveled through time, inheriting the fine tradition of Bruce Wayne, good at solving problems at their root cause. How can you buy one floor when buying a laboratory? You must buy it directly. Dr. Connors was stunned when he heard this. Are they all in this building? Yes, this building is a biological laboratory. You will be the supervisor here from now on. Jason stood up on tiptoes and patted Connors on the shoulder. After getting the confirmed news from Jason, Connors felt as if he was in a dream. When he was in the Osborne Group, where had he ever enjoyed such treatment? Although he has a laboratory in the Osborne Group, it is nothing in the Osborne Group. This laboratory is not the largest either. Now comes Wayne Group. Jason gave him such a big building. This kind of trust moved him very much. Mr. Jason. Okay, stop talking about Dr. Connors. Let's go in and take a look. We also want to introduce relevant information to you. Jason said something and took Connors in directly. The building has 8 floors. The biosafety level has reached P4 level. It is a laboratory with the highest biosafety level in the world. There are only 56 such laboratories recorded in the world. Most of the time, such laboratories are used to study highly contagious viruses. Have a laboratory like this, probably the dream of every biologist in the world. At the moment, there are already many experimenters in the laboratory. They are all researchers seconded by the Wayne Group to do basic work. Take a look around the laboratory. Connors was increasingly surprised. Whether it was equipment, personnel, or various security measures, everything exceeded his expectations. Okay, Dr. Connors. We've finished looking at the lab. It's time for us to look at the things you care about. Jason smiled, which made Connors blush a little. During the visit just now, Connors had been looking at Extremis' experimental site. It seems that the obsession with broken limb rebirth is very deep. When Connors saw Jason, he found out and no longer tried to hide it. Said directly, Mr. Jason, has Wayne Group's drug begun human testing? Yes. It has entered the human trial stage. Jason nodded. Although Extremis technology is after system upgrade, but he was still worried. Necessary experiments are still very necessary. Hearing this, Connors' eyes flashed with excitement. Medical technology is different from other technologies. After researching it, it needs to go through a very long clinical trial phase. In fact, this period of time is even longer than the development time of drugs. One of the very important reasons is human trials. Before conducting human experiments, very complex testing is required. Only after all experimental data can meet the standards can the process of human trials begin. So, once a drug enters the human trial stage, basically, this drug can be declared a success. Connors was naturally very happy about this. Mr. Jason, I have a cruel remark. Dr. Connors, please say, if you can, I will be satisfied. Although Jason had some guesses, he still said with a smile, can I join Wayne Group's human trials? Connors said very carefully. Sure enough, Jason sighed in his mind. It is hard for ordinary people to imagine how difficult it must be for a disabled person. Dr. Connors, can't you just wait a moment? Well, Dr. Connors sighed. Mr. Jason, you can't even imagine the life I'm living now. Not only is it inconvenient to do experiments, but it will also be looked down upon by others. I don't want to live in this kind of life at all. Connors looked at Jason with a very serious tone. Okay, Dr. Connors, I agree to your participation in Wayne Group's human trials. But Dr. Connors, you must pay attention and report to us in time if there are any problems. Jason reminded him. The laboratory has initially determined the function of Extremis, although its original recovery speed and lethality have been greatly weakened. But 967 has improved stability a lot. There will no longer be a situation where it explodes at every turn. There shouldn't be any big issues with Connors' safety. However, Connors didn't know this. He saw Jason care so much about him. The gratitude on his face was beyond words. Don't worry, Mr. Jason, I won't delay my work. If I have time, I can definitely start looking at relevant information. It will not delay the research process. Jason was very happy when he heard this, but he still pretended to cough and said, Dr. Connors, there is absolutely no need. I will wait until you fully recover to conduct research. Not in a hurry. That's what he said. Jason didn't think so. He stopped it anyway. If Dr. Connors showed his subjective initiative and researched the information himself, then it has nothing to do with him. Naturally, the words in my heart cannot be spoken. After receiving another wave of gratitude from Dr. Connors, Jason took Dr. Connors to the experimental group. He was directly given huge amounts of permission. His experimental quota was approved. Once Extremis is manufactured, Dr. Connors will be ready to receive the injection. Get it all sorted. Jason just said goodbye to Dr. Connors. Returned to his laboratory again. Chapter 52 Second Dimension. Please order in full. Please customize. After settling in Dr. Connors, Jason has finally settled a major matter in his heart. He was able to return to scientific work again. The white coat he met in the desert contributed a lot to him. One is a variant of Extremis, the other is a single-dimensional energy manipulator. It is what White Coat calls the Supreme Lord of the Rings. This is not the ring from Lord of the Rings. Rather, it is a high-tech device disguised as a ring. Ability is the ability to manipulate an energy, causing the temperature to drop sharply. Eventually it can even reach a point close to absolute zero. In physics, this is almost impossible to achieve. What causes this incredible phenomenon is these energies from sub-dimensions. The universe does not exist in one place. In the gap between this mixed universe of Marvel and DC, there exists the sub-dimensional world of the Emperor. These worlds are made of a single energy. Most organisms cannot survive in it. Moreover, the energy in the sub-dimensional world has a single nature and can interfere with the physical constants of the main material world. A very magical effect is achieved. This kind of energy also has another name: calendar. The technology provided by the system is to use machines to absorb sub-dimensional energy to achieve the same effect as magic. Whenever Jason sees this kind of technology, he feels amazed. It turns out that technology can really reach this level. Skynet, create a new project folder. The confidentiality level is top secret. Sub-dimensional energy manipulation device. Ordering materials from a group controlled by Wayne Group. Preparing to build a small atomic collider. After Jason finished speaking, he stopped talking. The technical content contained in this technology far exceeds that of human beings. Many of the materials and elements required are not available on Earth. You can only rely on Jason to make it yourself. This process is almost the same as the process of upgrading Iron Man's chest reactor. Howard Stark by researching the Tesseract. A new fusion element was designed. Tony Stark to make it. Directly in the basement of the house, a small atomic collider was built. By hitting the core of the material with a beam of high-energy particles to change the basic properties of the material. Get a new element. The same goes for the process Jason wants to undertake. It's a pity that we can't borrow the large particle collider. Jason shook his head sadly. The scientific research tasks of the large atomic collider built in Western Europe, which is tens of kilometers long, have been scheduled for decades. Even the powerful Wayne family would not be able to jump in line. Moreover, using a large atomic collider is not conducive to confidentiality. He could only settle for the next best thing and build a small collider himself. Barely usable. Skynet builds a three-dimensional model, preparing a simulated space-folding device. Jason coughed and said, the sub-dimensional energy manipulation device is a very large device. In order to be able to mobilize sub-dimensional energy from the main universe, there are many auxiliary devices inside the device to break through the limitations of Wang universe. Naturally, the size of the instrument has also become very large. I want to reduce such a large ring to file size that can be worn on my finger. You need to use the space folding device. The technological content of this device is also very high. The principle is to use a machine to generate a large gravitational field and remember the gravitational distortion to manipulate space. The technical principles are almost magical. If the instrument is built large enough, it can even create the ultimate weapon, the Gravity Dawn. A weapon capable of controlling the trajectory of external planets on Earth is a weapon capable of destroying stars. Definitely want to do this. The resources needed cannot be achieved by relying on the Earth alone, and he can't do it yet. After thinking about it, Kunson said, Skynet, how is the mining base on Mars? As early as when the steel armor was developed, Jason sent his own fully automated mining team to Mars. It is also equipped with a sub-body program of Skynet to control the mining behavior of the base. Master, according to the communication 3 days ago, the base has begun preliminary operations. Skynet Shensheng Yui reports. Jason nodded when he heard this. After all, the resources on Earth are limited. As he masters more and more technology, he naturally needs more and more resources. It is difficult to meet his requirements with the resources on Earth alone. Jason had already prepared for a rainy day and was eyeing the resources in the universe and a planet with a thin atmosphere. It is very likely that some rare minerals from the universe will appear. He will make a lot of money after that time. As for the question of whether it can sail in the universe, that's too simple. SHIELD's Quinjet can be modified for space navigation, so why can't his steel suit? It's just that without a jump engine, he can't carry out long-distance interstellar navigation. Traveling within the solar system is no problem at all. Prepare to renovate the factory and start preparations for manufacturing. Buy several farms in the southern suburbs of Gotham and prepare to build large factories. Jason once again asked Skynet to give him a reminder. Science and technology are a system. If you want to study something, you need the entire industrial system to work together. It's like saying that he was from his previous life. In top laboratories, The world's top equipment can be manufactured, but technology still lags behind the world powers. Why? It is because the entire industrial system is backward. Manufacturing things can only rely on fate and yield and accuracy are both issues. The same goes for Jason's desire to build equipment. A sub-dimensional energy manipulator has nearly tens of millions of parts. It is more complex than the most complex space shuttle in the world today. There is no support from an industrial system. There was no way he could build such a device. Needless to say, he will also create other new technologies in the future. Alas, it's a pity that technology still can't reach it. It would be great if we had a planet forge, but now we can only make do with a 10,000 ton casting press. When he said this, Kinkiane, Jason's face was full of regret. The chronology of technology is really serious. This kind of high-end technology directly provided is very difficult to restore. It's like you gave a primitive person a mobile phone and asked them to make it. This is simply impossible, although he is now manufacturing equipment in front of him. But that's just make do. The quality is not great. It needs to be replaced after a few uses. However, the industrial system on Earth limits his technological development. He had no choice but to make do with it. Sighed. Jason designed all the projects. Enter all the data information into Skynet's database. Then use Skynet's computing power to build the model. Even, Jason based on his own understanding. Improvements have been made to these things. The final draft was completed very quickly. You only need to make the core in the laboratory. You can use factory-assembled instruments. Chapter 53, Expanded String Theory. Please complete the order. Please customize it. Gravity and space are very closely related. We can even say gravity occurs, in part, because of the curvature of space. Space fluid material forms a momentum flux gradient due to its velocity gradient in a certain direction. Momentum flux gradient energy generates potential pressure energy. Potential pressure energy is the fundamental reason for the formation of gravity. On the contrary, if gravity is created, space will be disturbed to some extent. Thereby realizing the folding and passage of space. Jason was reading information in the laboratory. The old man Fox ran to his laboratory again. Jason, what are you studying? Wormhole or jump drive? Fox's old face was full of excitement. As chief technology officer of Wayne Group, although he may not be able to research this technology, he still has a vision. He only read part of the information and realized that what Jason was studying was related to space. When did you come in? Jason put down the information in his hand and asked in surprise. When you were reading the information just now. And I've been coming in for a long time, Fox said with a lewd smile. Jason couldn't help but touch his forehead. He finally knew how Tony Stark felt. Why did he directly change the password for the 130 door of the laboratory later? Just because there are too many idle people like this and they always like to disturb other people's research. Tell me, Mr. Fox, what do you want to do? Jason said helplessly. I just want to learn a little bit of technique. What are you studying? Fox asked, licking an old face. Jason stroked his forehead helplessly. This old man is so shameless. If not, look at Fox is the chief technical director of Wayne Group. For having made so many contributions to his family, he had already controlled the armor and thrown him out. He sighed and spoke. I'm studying gravity and want to interfere with space from the indoor level. Create some kind of small space folding device. Hearing this, Fox's eyes lit up. Graviton? That's right. Jason nodded. There are 4 basic forces in the universe: strong interaction, weak interaction, electromagnetic force and gravity. The first 3 forces have been unified by the standard model into one generation mechanism, which is the transmission of messenger particles between matter particles. Existing scientific theories prove that fermions constitute matter, bosons transmit information, and strong interaction means the exchange of gluons between quarks. The weak interaction is the exchange of W and Z bosons between atoms. The electromagnetic force is the exchange of photons between matter. These 3 forces are caused by the exchange of material particles with messenger particles. So based on this basis, scientists on Earth hypothesize that the creation of gravity is also based on this theory, and the particles that can produce gravity are called gravitons. Unfortunately, the existence of such particles has not been proven on Earth, but in Jason's eyes, this is indeed confirmed. The graviton is not actually a particle, but a middle string. According to string theory, the graviton is a closed string with no rest mass and a self-selected value of 2. According to human technology, such strings cannot yet be observed. That's why some people say, gravity is actually the ultimate high-latitude energy. It is a force that leaks from high latitudes to low latitudes. Therefore, the real difficulty of this technology is how to generate gravitons. Fox didn't know much, but he understood the significance of gravitons. Did you observe gravitons? Fox said in shock. Well, it should be considered an observation. Jason nodded and said, how did you do that? Fox looked at Jason with burning eyes. Curiosity for knowledge slowly filled his eyes. Nothing, just expanded string theory, Jason said lightly. That expression made Fox want to hit someone. Fox felt very uncomfortable when he saw Jason talking so easily. The expression on his face was as if he had eaten a dead fly. Did you know this was a Nobel Prize winning, CFBG, Achievement. Jason curled his lips when he heard this. Nobel Prize? This thing has no use in the Marvel world. Hydra leaders like Alexander Pierce can win Nobel Prizes. What's even more ridiculous is that he refused. How can this Nobel Prize be fair? Jason wasn't even interested. Nobel Prize? Forget it. I'm going. Those old men should be sad, Jason said nonchalantly. Fox stopped, his heart howling. Even though he was quite old, he still couldn't bear it. The gap between people is really too big. He wasn't even nominated for a Nobel Prize, and no one even bothered to win this award. It took a long time to calm down my emotions. Fox spoke again. What new understanding do you have of string theory? Jason glanced at Fox and said, string theory is a very basic burst theory. String theory believes that the world is not composed of various elementary particles, but a very tiny string. It is the different vibrations and movements of this string that produce various basic particles. But we can't observe strings, so humans think string theory is a theory. But I've made a new discovery. Space has 3 expanded dimensions, namely length, width, and height, and 6 curled dimensions, curled up on the space of the Planck length. Strings are wrapped around or attached to such spatial dimensions, vibrating in all directions. According to the different dimensions of the curled dimension, the strings have different lengths and shapes, which produce various winding energy and vibration energy. Thus, point-like particles and forces of various properties are formed, and the particles synthesize different substances. There are gravitons in this. We just simulate the string through the machine. You can generate gravity through the compilation of different frequencies and vibrations. Jason said this, paused, and looked at Fox. This is incredible. Fox digested it for a long time before speaking. Your research is even comparable to that of Einstein. I'm afraid the only living scientist who can compare with you is Dr. Bruce Banner. Fox shook his head and said, okay. Jason nodded calmly. He really couldn't compare to these two. Einstein, that is a mountain that physicists cannot climb. Bruce Banner is the first person in the field of modern physical theory research. A power that can be hung on the wall and admired while it is alive, although it seems that Bruce Banner failed to develop anything great. But in fact, current physics is based on the theories he studied, and this guy has 7 PhDs. Geniuses like Tony Stark only have 2 PhDs. He was just relying on the system. It's really incomparable. Chapter 54 Space Folding Device. Please order in full. Please customize all the engineering wonders of the world. The theoretical foundation must be prepared in advance. Want to create a string? First we need to understand what a string is. A string is a kind of energy, a linear amount of energy that can vibrate at a fixed frequency. This energy creates various elementary particles through vibrations. Jason has long mastered the essence of string theory. Once the machine was in place, he directly built the space folding device. By generating gravity through gravitons, the existence of space is indirectly controlled to achieve the folding effect. It took nearly half a month of effort. The instruments he needed were produced by Skynet. The resources consumed are astronomical. If it weren't for the Martian mining mecha coming back, I'm afraid Wayne Group will go bankrupt. But it's all worth it. Crystal resonance sequence, atomic manipulation unit, high-energy ion beam device. Jason went through Skynet and slowly counted. Can the lifespan of these Skynet devices achieve the expected results? Jason asked while looking at the list in front of him. Master, we can achieve the desired results. It's just that because the material strength and fatigue limit are limited, it needs to be replaced frequently. We need stronger synthesis materials. Skynet reported meticulously. Jason nodded. Enough. With the development of technology, we will have enough excellent materials. Jason seemed calm, but in fact he was constantly wailing in his heart. If he hadn't seen the material in the document, he would never have been so gloomy. Look at what people are using. The Planet Forge uses the core pressure of the entire planet to forge materials. Floating mining ships mine minerals directly on small stars. The star core drill directly mines the materials in the star core of the wilderness planet. In addition to these, there are many equipments that he can't even imagine. Look at the things in your hands, and then look at the things in the data. He could only be jealous of the separation. After calming down my emotions, I continued my inventory. After counting all the equipment, Jason sent him to the automatic assembly factory for assembly. This step is not difficult at all and is very fast. Wait until Jason has finished dinner. A silver white metal device more than 4 meters tall that looks like a donut has been delivered to his laboratory. Test it and see if there's anything wrong with it. Jason burped and said to Skynet. Several small drones flew up. Several beams of light hit the machinery. The inspection was completed, the assembly was perfect, and there was no interruption in the path. Tanwang replied concisely. Okay, start supplying energy. Jason entered the safety control room and started giving orders directly. Jason finished. A mechanical armor held a few bucket-thick wires and pulled them over. Directly connected together. The reactor is in fully powered mode, ready to connect to another reactor at any time. Jason directed again. The energy consumption of the space folding device is very scary. Otherwise, 5 highest level function wires are needed for power supply. To avoid accidents, he even prepared a second reactor. I'm just afraid of not having enough energy. Following Jason's order, the reactor behind him began to roar. and there was a strange smell in the air. The reactor was operating to its limits, a normal phenomenon that occurs when the internal electric current ionizes the air. Soon, the energy in the reactor reaches a threshold. The lights above the reactor began to flash wildly. "Start connecting the energy and prepare to start," Jason ordered. The switch on the cable is turned on. The electric current flows directly into the space folding device. A blue transparent light suddenly flashed on the silver-white ring. There seemed to be 2 more circles of red lights on the torus. Immediate follower, a light blue light appeared in the center of the ring. Then start clockwise and pretend to understand. The entire laboratory began to glow blue. Jason's face was filled with surprise when he saw this scene. Reaching this step means you have succeeded. It was indeed as expected. After a moment, the blue light in the ring was distorted. "It's like there's something there." Jason knew that was a sign that space was successfully distorted. Skynet, detect the physical constants there. Detect energy fluctuations. Start turning in the experimental equipment. The experiment is successful enough to perform space folding. Jason gave orders. His eyes were fixed on the manipulator next to the machine. The manipulator is placing a metal device into the space distortion in the middle. Soon, Jason saw a magical scene. The more than 20 centimeters of detection device was put in. It was like passing through a layer of water in midair. Jason only saw a ripple in the air. The device becomes like a Rubik's Cube, file size. Jason's face was overjoyed. "Quick, check the parameters passed out. Try to adjust the spatial folding ratio. Testing whether living creatures can enter." Jason spoke out another order. The cages for the live animals were also brought up. Unfortunately, it is exactly as described in the technical information. The poor rabbit was cut into half. The half that was sent into the equipment directly turned into tiny elementary particles. Record, space folding device, whether there is any difference in high energy vibration frequency. It is extremely lethal, and organic matter cannot survive. 0. The possibility of making it into a weapon can be considered. As Jason spoke, he asked Skynet to record his observations. Soon the experimental data was almost collected. Skynet, shut down. Look at how much energy is being used. "Master, I'm afraid the reactor needs to replace its energy core." Skynet's voice was also unusually helpless. Jason's company even became twisted. "This is a very large reactor. Can power the entire Gotham City for a month. The power is out." Jason almost vomited blood. No wonder people invented this kind of thing after their civilization has developed to that extent. Just this energy consumption. It is not something that lower civilizations can afford. Fortunately, this effect is solidified. It only takes this once. Otherwise he would have to vomit blood. Jason suddenly felt envious of the Ancient One and his group of magicians. The educational level of these people is probably not as good as that of an ordinary college student, but controlling space is like playing. It doesn't consume energy. This made Jason envious of his separation. No wonder Comrade Modu, the chief disciple of Ancient One, was Blackin once said, "The world is like this because there are too many magicians." Now it seems that is indeed the case. It's something that a scientist like him can do with so much effort. People just chanted a mantra and it was done. Doesn't this destroy the balance? Magicians should disappear. Jason muttered a few words with sadness. Chapter 55 The Birth of Frozen Man. Please order the full version. Please customize the core of the sub-dimensional energy manipulation device. In fact, it is a space folding device. After completing this part, Jason's task has actually been completed. The rest is repetitive work. Just need to make another gravity operating device. Had a cup of coffee. Jason started his F-King again. And just when Jason was building his own machine, in another part of Gotham, someone is also busy. Gotham is a city of prosperity and crime. Both the most prosperous and the darkest places in the world can be found in this city. Night. It's the darkest time in Gotham. Many people started their own ulterior transactions under the cover of night. And on the outskirts of Gotham, there is such a prosperous manor. At the moment, the manor was very lively, with countless upper-class people holding wine glasses, changing glasses. It looks like a peaceful and prosperous scene. At the top of the manor, 2 people, whose faces were hidden in the darkness, were having a conversation. "Joker is dead." A man with a ruby brooch on his chest spoke. When the person sitting opposite him heard this, he picked up his wine glass and took a sip of red wine. He spoke in a very calm tone. "Who did it?" "Wayne Group," said the man wearing the ruby brooch. "Oh, it turns out to be that little guy Bruce. Really? It's nice to be young." The man holding the red wine glass sighed and said, "We're missing a chess piece." "Bruce Wayne has gone too far," the man wearing the ruby brooch said angrily. "You are too impatient. You are just a pawn. The benefits that Wayne Group has brought to us are far greater than this chess piece. I heard recently that Bruce Wayne's illegitimate son has come up with something amazing. That's a good thing for us. As for Bruce Wayne, he likes justice, so let him do it. We should be more tolerant towards young people, shouldn't we?" Shaking the red wine glass in his hand, the man said gently. The man wearing the ruby brooch was still a little depressed. "Humphrey," He didn't cause trouble in your territory. This month alone, he has caused me millions of dollars in losses. Bruce Wayne must be taught a lesson. Otherwise, he will feel that Batman has the final say in Gotham. The man wearing the ruby brooch said something viciously. Then just send out a chess piece. Always give energetic young people something to do. The man holding the red wine glass said calmly. Send out the claws. Teach him a tough lesson. The man wearing the ruby brooch had a fierce look in his eyes. No, it's not yet time. The claws can't appear. We have a greater good with Bruce Wayne alive. The man holding the red wine glass shook his head. But the man wearing the ruby brooch was still a little reluctant. Enough. It's just a loss of millions. No big deal. We'll compensate you. But don't think about doing it again. As a newcomer, the first thing you have to do is understand the rules of the game. The man holding the red wine glass put down the glass, stared at the man opposite and said. The man with the ruby saw a fierce glint in his eyes. My heart palpitated. All right. But you have to send a more powerful chess piece. Batman must be taught a lesson. It's natural. Let's stimulate Dr. Victor. It just so happens that our organization is very interested in his skills. It's okay to let him cause some trouble for Batman. The man holding the red wine glass smiled and said, Are you sure he can? He's just a scientist. The man wearing the ruby brooch asked doubtfully. Definitely doable. Everyone has the potential to be a chess piece. We just need to inspire it. What's more, aren't you interested in Dr. Victor's cryonics technology? After taking a sip of red wine, the man smiled and said. Hearing this, the man wearing the ruby brooch was also moved. As long as we are human, we cannot escape death. If you could freeze yourself, waiting for the point where life extension technology becomes available to them, there are huge amounts of temptation. Thinking of this, he no longer objected. Well, that's him. Let's see if Dr. Victor can bring us enough surprises. Seeing the man agree, the man holding the red wine glass smiled with satisfaction. Very good, I'll contact the people that to take action. After saying that, he took a sip of red wine again, with a smile on his face. The next day, there was a dispute in a private company's laboratory in Gotham. Jim, you can't do this. Victor Fries, wearing a white coat, shouted angrily at Jim opposite. I'm sorry, Victor. The company can no longer support your research. Obviously, your research does not bring enough benefits to our company. Although we are friends. But business is business. Okay, turn off the power. Jim ignored Victor's pleading and asked his men to turn off the power. At the same time, he directly took the USB flash drive and copied the laboratory information. Victor, these things should be considered as compensation for the company. Jim smiled 800 times and walked out of the laboratory with the USB flash drive. By the way, take good care of Dr. Victor. Let him pack his things. After saying that, Jim left the laboratory without any hesitation. Several security personnel looked at each other, then proceeded to cut off the power to the laboratory. No, you can't do that. Dr. Victor rushed forward frantically, trying to stop the security personnel. It's just that he, an experimenter, is no match for a big-bodied security guard. Easily thrown aside. Dr. Victor, be quiet. It would be bad if you get hurt. A security guard smiled. Just unplugged the power supply. No. Victor let out a wail of pain. The security personnel didn't take it seriously either. I thought Victor was in so much pain because the laboratory was defunded. They didn't notice because the power is turned off. Behind them, huge amounts of white gas began to leak from a metal tank. Then it quickly spread from the laboratory. Several security personnel did not move. It was directly frozen into an ice sculpture by the white gas. The smile even stayed on his face. On the other hand, Dr. Victor was kneeling on the ground. Not only did it not turn into an ice sculpture, the body was still absorbing the white mist, and the skin became pale, like a dead man. Chapter 56, The Seriously Injured Batman. Please order the full version. Please customize it. Gotham is a very strange city. Even during the day, the sky is often covered with grey clouds. The whole city seemed a little lifeless. Jason glanced at the sky and complained. Dive into the laboratory again. His research work has come to an end. He will soon be able to create a complete version of a single-dimensional energy manipulator. Therefore, the whole person became a little excited. Jason had just been in the mood for a while. I saw Alfred helping Bruce Wayne walk into the laboratory. Something is very wrong with Bruce Wayne. He didn't even take off his bat armor. It took Alfred's support to reluctantly walk in. Jason frowned when he saw this. Quickly walked up and lifted Bruce Wayne. As soon as he touched Bruce Wayne's suit, Jason's hands felt cold. It seems that Bruce Wayne is not wearing a carbon fiber armor, but a piece of ice. Feeling the piercing coldness of the ninja, Jason helped Bruce Wayne lie down on the scanning equipment. Then he quickly shook his hands and breathed a sigh of relief. Grandpa Alfred, what's going on? Jason was confused. It's only October now, still at the tail end of summer. The temperature in Gotham City is still not low, and some people even wear short sleeves on the streets. Bruce Wayne is covered in ice. It's like a trip to the North Pole. This made him very strange. Have no idea. Alfred shook his head. The master went out last night. and I only found him in the manor this morning." It seemed like the whole person had lost consciousness. Jason heard this and glanced at Bruce Wayne. Needless to say, Bruce Wayne must have been doing some good deeds again last night. "Then we encountered some difficult opponent. Don't be beaten like this." "However, I don't know who took action." Bruce Wayne is like frozen meat taken out of the refrigerator. 80% of the entire body was covered in frostbite. The body temperature is also very low. If an ordinary person had injuries like his, he would have died 10,000 times. "I looked at the test report given by Skynet." Jason sighed deeply. Bruce Wayne can survive. "It's truly a miracle." "Skynet, activate life support mode. Inject nutrient solution. Raise the temperature slowly." Jason spoke slowly. Now he doesn't dare touch Bruce Wayne because of the low temperature. The armor on his body was frozen with his skin. "Take it off now. I'm afraid the skin will peel off a layer." "We can only wait for the temperature to rise slowly." "Master, is he okay?" Alfred asked worriedly. As he spoke, he also took off the heavy gloves he used to roast the turkey. Jason looked at the corner of his mouth and twitched. Sure enough, ginger is still spicy. He is still too young. "It's okay, Alfred wants it too. Don't worry, it'll be fine soon." Jason shook his head and said something to Alfred. Then he spoke again. "Skynet, Comrade Dr. Connors, come here." Human trials of Extremis have come to an end. It has been confirmed that its function is indeed very powerful, and there are no side effects. Connors is now back to health. Jason just wanted Connors to come over and give Bruce Wayne a shot. By then this injury will naturally not be a problem. At Jason's call, Dr. Connors hurried over soon. "Mr. Jason, what happened?" Connors walked in hurriedly and asked. Jason asked directly without answering. "Did you bring the desperate potion?" Jason was afraid that Extremis' name would cause controversy or be discovered. He simply renamed the virus, changed to Desperate Potion, and it is divided into several versions. The ultimate version is physical fitness that can heal injuries and strengthen. Normally, you can only restore a broken limb once, and the energy will be exhausted. Extremis died immediately due to the inability to transcribe. These are the results of Dr. Connor's research. I brought the most advanced version of the medicine pavilion. Who wants to use it? Connors looked at the two able-bodied guys asking questions in front of him in surprise. Jason pointed with his finger. Connors noticed that there was a person lying on the instrument next to him. He looked carefully at this strange man in black clothes and armor. Connors was suddenly startled. "Batman." Then he looked at Jason with a shocked face, wanting an answer. Jason had no intention of explaining anything to Dr. Connors. Please give me flowers." Bruce Wayne doesn't necessarily want his identity revealed. "Don't be too surprised, Dr. Connors. The identity of the patient is not important. The main thing is the treatment, isn't it?" Jason said, giving Dr. Connors a meaningful look. Dr. Connors was shocked. He seemed to have discovered something extraordinary. "You won't be silenced, right?" Connors said tremblingly. "That's right, Mr. Jason. I will take care of you now." With that said, he opened the portable cryogenic box next to him. He took out the desperate potion in a test tube. Then he put the light yellow desperate potion on the machine. The medicine was injected into Bruce Wayne's body along with a nutrient solution. After finishing, Dr. Connors touched the cold sweat on his forehead. With such a simple action, he seemed to have done something big. "Okay, Mr. Jason. We just need to wait for the potion to take effect." "Thank you, Dr. Connors. Please take a look here and monitor the patient's physical condition," Jason said with a smile. Connors wanted to say something. He is a scientist, not a caregiver. However, he still chose from the bottom of his heart without saying anything, and quietly looked at the data on the machine. More than half an hour passed. Dr. Connors breathed a sigh of relief. "Mr. Jason, it's no problem. The patient's physical signs have basically stabilized. Just wait until he wakes up." Connors wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said, "Okay, thank you, doctor. You go back to the laboratory first. And doctor, you don't have to be so nervous at all. I won't kill anyone and silence them." Jason said speechlessly. "I heard the words kill and silence." Dr. Connors shuddered. He said with a wry smile on his face, "I know, Erdow." Jason looked at Dr. Connors and was speechless. These intellectuals are too timid. "I also like to think blindly. He is not a terrorist. He kills people and silences them at every turn." Seeing Connors' nervous look, Jason couldn't bear it. "Okay, Dr. Connors, go back and study it quickly. Don't think blindly." When Nas heard this, he felt like he was being pardoned and quickly left the country. Chapter 57, Cheating Your Son. Please order the full version. Please customize it. Jason looked at Dr. Connors, who left in a hurry. The expression on his face was unusually speechless. He turned to look at Alfred and asked, "Grandpa Alfred, am I scary?" Alfred smiled when he heard this. "Young master, you are not angry and have authority. It is a sign of the temperament of a superior." Jason nodded when he heard this. No wonder Alfred has been the butler of the Wayne family for so many years. Look at how well people talk. If Jason didn't have a strong idea in his heart, he would really believe it. Jason was enjoying Alfred's full compliment service. There was a groan from the one next to me. Well, Alfred heard the sound and quickly moved forward. "Master, how do you feel?" he asked. looking at Bruce Wayne lying with concern. After a while, Bruce Wayne finally wakes up. It feels pretty good now. Bruce Wayne sat up from his seat and moved his body. Accidentally, the scanner was hit to pieces. Alarm sounded throughout the laboratory. Bruce Wayne looked at Jason awkwardly. "Jason, what's going on?" "It's okay. It's normal." Jason looked at the data in his hand and said, "Killian is that weakling." After being injected with a medicine of extremis, everyone can gain strength beyond ordinary people. Pure strength can even compete with steel armor. Bruce Wayne is a guy who has developed his body to its human extreme. The increase in strength is naturally more obvious. It is completely normal to be temporarily unable to control your power to make a sudden payment. Squeezing the muscles on Bruce Wayne's body. "Let's take a look at the basic constants measured by machines." Jason nodded. "It's really no problem. This is a trivial side effect of the therapeutic agent. Just train for a while and it will be fine. Now we should talk about what's going on, right? Who made you like this?" Jason looked at Bruce Wayne strangely. "To be honest, in all of Gotham City, Batman's combat capabilities are top-notch. There are only a few super-ables in Gotham who are very powerful, like Joker, Two-Face, Harley Quinn, etc. Most of the physical fitness is not as good as Bruce Wayne. They all commit crimes based on their IQ. Nothing like New York City next door. The villains in it generally have low IQs, but are powerful, like Lizard Man, Hulk, Juggernaut and the like. They are all examples of reckless men. If these people were in Gotham City, they would have beaten Batman to death tens of thousands of times. But there are few such reckless men in Gotham City. So he's weird. Who made Bruce Wayne look like this? "It's Frozen Man." Bruce Wayne moved his arms carefully and said with a wry smile. "Frozen Man?" Jason quickly searched through his memory. Soon a villain came to the rescue. Frozen Man is a cryogenic scientist. The research is on human cryogenic freezing. It was just because of an accident that his body cells changed. He can only survive at low temperatures. So he built himself a suit of armor. Various freezing weapons were also invented. Start making waves in Gotham City. He seemed to remember. This Frozen Man is a psychopath. He believes that everything in the world is most beautiful when frozen. How did Bruce Wayne get into trouble with him? "How did you end up with Frozen Man?" Jason asked a little gossipy. Although Frozen Man is a psycho, but he's not like that lunatic Joker who goes around wreaking havoc. He prefers to have sex with his frozen wife. Rarely come out to cause trouble. Jason was a little surprised how Bruce Wayne could fight with him. When Bruce Wayne heard him ask this, a wry smile appeared on his face. "Last night, I went to patrol the economic zone. Then I happened to see him killing people. So I rushed to stop him." Who would have thought? The rest of the words were too shameful for Bruce Wayne to say. "Then you were really unlucky." Jason looked at Bruce Wayne with sympathy on his face. Why is Bruce Wayne so unlucky? Because he actually rarely goes to the economic zone. The economic zone is actually a relatively prosperous part of Gotham City. A large part of the police force is here to ensure the safety here. Bruce Wayne spends most of his time in downtown. Justice is maintained in this mixed bag. "I went to the economic zone by chance. I didn't expect to meet such a ruthless character. Suffered a big loss." Jason could only say that he was unlucky. Saw Jason say this. Bruce Wayne could only shake his head helplessly. Even if he didn't meet him last night, he would meet Frozen Man sooner or later. Let a super ability criminal do his own crime in Gotham City. It's just too dangerous. Just last night, at least a dozen ordinary people were affected. According to his situation, I'm afraid these people are already in trouble. Thinking of this, Bruce Wayne eagerly wanted to rush out and bring Frozen Man to justice. Jason saw what he was thinking in Bruce Wayne's eyes. "Don't even think about it. What you need most right now is rest. The effects of hypothermia are not that easy to recover from. Besides, you still need to get used to the surge in power. It's not a smart thing to do right now." But Bruce Wayne still wanted to refute what Jason said. But Jason spoke first. "No, but if you don't want to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, you'd better listen to me." Jason interrupted Bruce Wayne directly. "It's not that serious though. But it also has a certain impact. What if Bruce Wayne ran out to fight again? In addition, extremis consumes a lot of energy to transform the body. I'm afraid Bruce Wayne is really going to play GG. Batman's name became famous." Bruce Wayne sighed deeply when he heard Jason's words. "Sit back together." He knew Jason was doing it for his own good. It's just that he really doesn't worry about the safety of Gotham City. Jason felt helpless when he saw Bruce Wayne's appearance. Batman lowered his head and looked a little pitiful. Jason was helpless. He could only speak. "Okay, you can save me for training. At worst, I'll help you catch Frozen Man tonight." Bruce Wayne's eyes lit up when he heard this. "Then I'll bother you, Jason." Jason looked at Bruce Wayne whose face changed instantly. "My heart keeps wailing. This Bruce Wayne is not honest either. Don't show any mercy to your son." Chapter 58. Know yourself and your enemy and you can fight 100 battles without danger. Please order in full. Please customize. Since he promised to help Bruce Wayne solve the Frozen Man problem, Jason won't push the envelope. But before that, he still has some preparation work to do. First, it took him 2 days to complete the subdimensional space manipulator. Look at the silver white ring on your index finger. Jason couldn't help but sigh deeply. Technology is also a very magical force. No wonder the man in the white coat called this thing the Supreme Lord of the Rings. Now it seems, although it is not far away. What is the difference between this ability to suddenly emit super low temperatures and magic? With a sigh, Jason put down the ring to observe himself. Skynet. Bring up yesterday's surveillance. Jason said something to Skynet. The economic zone is a relatively prosperous area of Gotham. To ensure the safety here, there is still a lot of security on the block. In addition, yesterday Bruce Wayne and Frozen Man made a big fuss. Half the block was cordoned off. Dozens of stores have been directly transformed into ice and snow parks. Naturally, a lot of video material was left behind. Before dealing with Frozen Man, he naturally had to study these video materials carefully. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you fight without danger. Soon enough video materials were collected on the internet. Looking at that number, I'm afraid it's even more complete than the police station's information. 363. After Jason got the information, he began to observe it carefully. The armor on Frozen Man is not pretty. It looks like a biochemical suit used for biological control. A device on the face similar to a gas mask should be used for breathing. Carrying a flamethrower-like device on his back. It's just that white mist is sprayed out. These white gases have extremely low temperatures. Spray it onto an object and a layer of ice will be created directly. The human body even turns directly into an ice sculpture. In Jason's opinion, such a temperature is at least nearly 100 degrees below zero. Moreover, these mists seem to have another mystery. To know, heat conduction takes time. Even if you are temporarily exposed to low temperatures of hundreds of degrees below zero, your body will not freeze immediately. Rather, it requires a process in which temperature is slowly conducted until all the heat inside the body disappears. The human body will be frozen. But the Frozen Man sprays mist. But it allows the human body to freeze in just a few seconds, and the effect is very magical. In Jason's view, this technology allows rapid temperature conduction. It is more important than freezing technology. Skynet, record this. It is worth noting that Frozen Man is suspected of possessing a highly efficient heat transfer agent. Other abilities are not great. To deal with low temperatures, a heating device can be installed inside the armor. Non-icing materials can be used on the surface of the armor. After thinking for a while, Jason added again. Surface materials should resist low temperature brittleness. Order Type 2 cryogenic alloy from Stark Industries. Touching his chin, Jason recorded again. Frozen Man's surface armor is suspected to have bulletproof capabilities. It still needs to be verified. The possibility of having other abilities cannot be ruled out. After some analysis, Jason suddenly felt this Frozen Man is just a chicken. The reason White Bruce Wayne can't be beaten is because he is too good. Think about it. He also couldn't imagine what abilities Frozen Man had that could threaten him. So what if his freezing ability is stronger? As long as the armor's arc reactor energy is not exhausted, Frozen Man can't possibly pose any threat to him. Just keep having a fever. After thinking about it, Kunson shook his head. He also thought wrong. It's not that Bruce Wayne is too weak, but he is too strong. The steel armor is technology that can fight against cosmic giants like Thanos. Rockets from advanced civilizations in the universe all believe that this technology has certain merits. Use steel armor to deal with this kind of villain who can't get away in a city. It is indeed a bit bullying, Jason said with a smile. Skynet, trace the whereabouts of Frozen Man. Frozen Man appears in the economic zone for a reason. He showed up here to rob a bank. CFCA. Jason knew it after thinking about it. The life experiences of such scientists are similar. Taking money from other companies and researching for decades, nothing can be achieved. Then he was cut out of the laboratory. Then Blacken takes revenge on the world. Dr. Connors is like this, and this Frozen Man is probably similar. But such extreme people are not worthy of pity. This company is not a charity. Consider the benefit of the company. It would be nice to support your research for a while. If you can't produce results, you still want to use other people's funds. Where in the world can such good things happen? All he can say is that a villain is a villain. No matter how miserable the treatment is, it is not worthy of sympathy. Hulk. Dr. Bruce Banner. The experience was also extremely miserable, not only because he was plotted against me. He was almost arrested by his father-in-law. But there is still no Blacken. Always feeling guilty about the things I did. Even incognito. Children in slums are treated for free. This is the difference. So Jason doesn't feel any guilt at all when dealing with this Frozen Man. Just as Jason was thinking, Skynet's voice rang. Find the traces of Frozen Man at 43 Grundy Street. Jason's mouth twitched when he heard the address. It's true that the most dangerous place is the safest place, hiding directly next to the police station, less than a block away. How brave. Gotham City's police are also trash. We can't control petty thieves on the streets. We can't control robberies, let alone supervillains. We don't dare to control them at all. I don't know what the purpose of this organization is. Are you really just waiting to clean up the floor after everything is over? A rant about the Gotham City Police Department. Jason issued his own order. Well, Send a message to the police station and ask them to evacuate the nearby people. I remember Commissioner Gordon had a very good relationship with our Wayne family. Let him help. Tell him there's biological contamination found nearby. Seize the time and let people organize an evacuation. Jason coughed and said, Gotham's police are very competent at doing this kind of thing. In this place where the upper class is extremely corrupt and the upper class people are all equipped with guns, it is not easy to do this. After the transformation of the armor is completed, we will send it out. Prepare my own armor, and I'll join in the fun. Jason said something. After building the atomic collider, he also upgraded the core of the armor, replaced with new elements developed by Tony Stark. Both output power and battery life have been greatly improved. Found an opportunity this time. Naturally, he wanted to test the combat effectiveness of the new generation of armor. Thinking about it, I am still a little excited. Chapter 59 Confrontation. Please order in full. Please customize. Commissioner Gordon of Gotham City has an old friendship with the Wayne family. It's also wonderful to say, when Commissioner Gordon was an agent, the first case on the stall. It's the case where Bruce Wayne's parents were shot. The Wayne couple, who adhered to the principle of not taking bodyguards when going out, went out to watch a movie, and were all killed by a gangster. The young Bruce Wayne I met at that time was the first police officer I met. That's Director Gordon now. Gordon, who had just returned from the army, was still a very upright man. Soon he became friends with Bruce Wayne. However, compared to the upright and young Director Gordon at the time, Commissioner Gordon now, it is undoubtedly much more tactful. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to hang out in the muddy waters of Gotham for so many years. Little Jason, are there really biological weapons here? Director Gordon looked at Jason and said cautiously. Jason glanced at Commissioner Gordon. Whether there are biological and chemical weapons inside really depends on the situation. Just like when the bald eagle said that oil countries have biological and chemical weapons. It may not be there at first, but you have to search. Biochemical weapons can definitely be found. As for the biochemical weapon, was it already inside? Then Jason can't guarantee it. Of course Jason couldn't say that. He just told lies with his eyes open. Definitely. A business partner of our Wayne Group people told us the news. Director Gordon, I will not deceive you about this kind of thing. We'd better stay away and let professionals handle these things. Commissioner Gordon shouldn't have him. He nodded deeply, turned around and left. Not the slightest hesitation. After Commissioner Gordon left, Jason waved. A large truck drove over. 10 pieces of steel armor got off the train uniformly. The 8 pieces of armor are ordinary models, but they have been modified. There are 2 armors that look very special. The paint on the body is fiery red. The body even looks like a jar. In place of the arms are 2 flame spouts. This is a modified model specially modified by Jason to deal with Frozen Man. Jason didn't speak until everything was ready. Skynet, what's going on with Frozen Man? After Jason finished speaking, a video appeared in his helmet. What is playing is the scene inside Frozen Man's laboratory. I don't know if it's ignorance or arrogance. Entire blocks were evacuated. The Frozen Man inside seemed unaware. He kept saying something to a female corpse in the machine. Seeing this, Jason felt a chill in his heart. Sure enough, he is insane and cannot be understood. Jason muttered. Skynet, directly send fighter planes to blast it forcefully. Jason gave an order, and the 4 armors formed a tactical formation and surrounded him. The house where Frozen Man is located is nothing more than an ordinary residence, although modified by Frozen Man. But in front of the armor, these defenses are made of paper. 3 strikes, 5 divided by 2. Several pieces of armor controlled by Skynet rushed in directly. It's just that I just took 2 steps. Jason saw a burst of white mist appear inside the camera. The 4 steel armors immediately froze in place. The body is covered with white frost. Several gunshots were heard inside the house. The 4 pieces of steel armor were shattered like glass handicrafts. It was directly broken into pieces. Jason's eyes narrowed when he saw this. Metal does show a certain degree of low temperature brittleness below the base temperature. But there is a limit to this. Metal is still metal no matter how brittle it is. There is no way it is as brittle as glass. Not to mention, Jason still uses low-temperature alloys specially ordered from Stark Industries. It is said that it can maintain its properties at low temperatures of -200 degrees Celsius. But now it seems that this is nonsense. Even a piece of pig iron performs better than this low-temperature alloy. Stark, you profiteer. He cursed Tony Stark bitterly. Skynet, send out the fire bats directly. Seeing that something was wrong, Jason directly dispatched 2 special models of armor. These 2 modified armors with specially reinforced armor have much better cold resistance than ordinary armors. Under the control of Skynet, 2 pieces of orange-red armor walked up with heavy steps. The heavy armor stepped on the ground, making a thumping sound. 2 armors just walked in front of the door. A white mist spurted out from inside. The bodies of the 2 fire bats were immediately covered with frost. But the fire bat is not as fragile as ordinary armor. Please give me flowers. A red light flashed across his body. Action was quickly resumed. There was a buzzing sound all around. It was like red-hot iron thrown into ice. The 2 arms were raised directly, and flames more than 20 meters long were sprayed directly from the two flame jets. Immediately mixed with the white mist, a white mist formed in the sky. It works. It seems that this low-temperature spray has not reached the level of freezing flames. The fire bat is not loaded with ordinary oil. It is a mixture of phospholipids and high-energy aviation chemical fuels. Can burn even underwater. No need for oxygen at all, although this white mist has the ability to freeze instantly. But it's obviously not strong enough to crush this kind of gunpowder. 0. Increase the jet power and suppress these white mist. Jason ordered again. Also, we will send infrastructure-modified fire bats from the group. Jason frowned. Frozen Man is also a wizard. The developed freezing spray actually managed to compete with the 4 flamethrowers. It's really eye-catching. These are 4 flamethrowers, enough to burn down a forest. Watching the two sides remain at loggerheads, Jason shouted directly through the loudspeaker. Dr. Victor, how about we talk? There is absolutely no need for us to fight to the death. Besides, Dr. Victor, how long can you last? My supplies are unlimited. Jason shouted a few words, hoping that Victor inside would be shaken. Unfortunately, his strategy didn't work. Frozen Man remained silent in the house, just constantly fighting against the fire bats. The surrounding air is filled with mist formed by water vapor condensation. It makes this place look hazy and shadowy. Jason frowned when he saw the situation. We are preparing to send a few ordinary armors to support, but he hasn't done it yet. I heard 2 sharp whistles coming from the room. It sounded like the sound of an RPG in midair. Then there were 2 soft pops. The 2 fire bats immediately lost their connection. Jason frowned. The expression on his face became ugly. Chapter 60, Die Together. Please order the full version. Please order it yourself. Jason looked at the red panel in front of him. The expression on his face is very ugly. Unexpectedly, the fire bat specially modified for Frozen Man was directly destroyed. A sensor mounted inside the fire bat. The last message sent only showed that the temperature of the fire bat dropped sharply. For a moment, the 2 fire bats were immediately taken off the production line. Jason didn't even understand what Frozen Man did. Skynet, turn on the detection equipment and see what happened. Let the ordinary armor go up and activate the overload mode. Jason issued the order. He directly put on the armor and hid behind the heavy truck. He is not ready to appear in front of Frozen Man until the situation is unclear. Who knows what methods this guy used? Even the fire bats can't stop it. The armor on his body was even more unstoppable. Skynet, a direct and indiscriminate saturation attack. 003. Don't talk to him anymore. Jason saw that the situation was not good and gave the order directly. Originally he wanted to talk to Frozen Man. It seems completely unnecessary now. It's safer to kill it directly. Jason ordered. The remaining 4 pieces of steel armor raised their hands and started shooting. Blue energy cannons shot into the fog like raindrops. The entire neighborhood suddenly heard the sound of an explosion. Director Gordon, who was listening a block away, felt his heart palpitate, thinking in his heart, it's a good thing that he didn't go in, otherwise he would be delivering food. Stay far away and keep a safe distance. He scolded the members of the police station. Director Gordon retreated several dozen meters again. The other side. Jason's saturation attack has almost come to an end. Several nearby residential buildings were directly flattened, and the ground was full of building debris. At this time, another giant transport truck also arrived. The inside of the carriage is like dumplings. Dozens of pieces of armor jumped out from inside. Saw these armors arriving. Jason's confidence suddenly became stronger. Skynet, blow away these fogs. The mist and dust greatly restricted his field of vision. Neither the infrared camera nor the temperature difference camera can detect anything. Jason had no choice but to expel the fog. With the work of several pieces of armor, the fog that obscured his vision quickly disappeared. The scene inside is revealed. It looks very old inside, and the buildings that were built more than 30 years ago have long since disappeared. Instead, a semicircular shield was buckled to the ground. The shield looks like it's made of ice. There is still a white cold air emanating from it. It was this thing that blocked the attack of the armor just now. Jason frowned. He fired the ionizing weapon cannon directly. This ionization cannon really made a difference. There is a file-sized dent on the bowl edge on the ice shield, but it was quickly repaired, and it looked as if the shield was alive. Skynet, destroy it directly. Jason waved his hand calmly. This thing just looks amazing. Just a turtle shell. As long as the attack power is strong enough, it's easy to fight. Jason gave an order, and rocket nests appeared directly on the shoulders of dozens of armors. Nearly 100 javelin armor-piercing rounds were fired directly. This weapon is capable of penetrating the frontal armor of tanks. Compared with ionization cannon, it is stronger penetrating power. The armor-piercing projectile was launched and directly penetrated the ice shield. If there is, it is stuck halfway. A few milliseconds later, all javelin armor-piercing shells exploded directly. There were nearly 100 fireworks in front of Jason. A mushroom cloud rose directly from the ground. The scene was extremely spectacular. After the smoke cleared, a figure appeared in the smoke that had almost disappeared. None other than Frozen Man. However, Frozen Man is not in very good condition at the moment. The armor on his body was badly damaged, revealing his pale skin. There was also constant white air conditioning emanating from inside. Next to him is a silver-white ice coffin with a corpse inside. Cough cough, cough cough. Why did you do that? Frozen Man turned his head to Jason. The mask on his face was half broken. The exposed half was also covered in blood and looked very ferocious. Even though Frozen Man has reached this point, Jason still hasn't let down his guard. It has no meaning at all from my past. The direct operator walked over in his own spare armor. Why? When you kill someone, shouldn't you think of what will happen to you? Because of your actions yesterday, more than 30 innocent civilians died on the entire street. After Jason finished speaking, he stopped and closed his mouth. Frozen Man's quick freezing spray is fatal to ordinary people. As long as they cannot be sent to the hospital in time, hypothermia will soon kill these people. If it weren't for the Batmobile, Bruce Wayne might not have survived. Now that Frozen Man said this, Jason found it ridiculous. Those who kill will always be killed. So that's it. Another pretentious superhero. I never thought I would die in the hands of someone like you. I'm obviously taking them to eternal art. Why don't you understand? Jason curled his lips when he saw the somewhat nervous Frozen Man. Lifting it directly to the palm, blue energy gathered in the palm of the hand. I also sent you to the world of art. Why don't you understand? Frozen Man looked at the blue light on the mecha in front of him. I choked all of a sudden. Ha 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 ha. After half a day, Frozen Man spoke. After letting out a very heart-wrenching laugh, Jason couldn't help but retreat a few hundred meters again. Why are you laughing? After feeling that he was safe, Jason controlled the armor and spoke. Why are you laughing? I'm laughing. Even if I die, I will be buried with a funny person like you. Ha ha ha. While laughing wildly, more and more white mist formed on Frozen Man's body. There was white mist constantly emanating from the gaps in his armor, 4.8 spreading to the surroundings. Ice crystals were visible to the naked eye in the air and fell to the ground. Jason's expression changed and he wanted to retreat, but found out. At some point, a layer of invisible ice had frozen his mecha to the ground. Even the thrusters underneath the armor couldn't be started. Frozen Man raised his head and glanced at Jason. Don't waste your efforts. You can't escape. Laughed crazily a few times. Frozen Man opened the ice coffin and hugged the dead body inside. Then the whole person suddenly exploded. A large white mist spread directly towards the surroundings. The ice visible to the naked eye begins to spread from here, spread directly over a distance or several hundred meters. Everything within this range was quickly frozen. The transparent ice cubes surrounding everything looked very beautiful. Jason only felt a chill. Chapter 61 Post Arrangements. Please order in full. Please customize. Jason looked at the ice less than 10 meters away from him. I felt scared for a while. Fortunately, he was smart and retreated several hundred meters in time, almost to the outskirts of the block. Otherwise, I will really die with this Frozen Man. However, he sent nearly 100 battle armors, 2 modified heavy goods vehicles. All were frozen inside. I'm afraid even if it is taken out, it probably won't be usable. It can be said that it is really a heavy loss. Looking at the ice sculpture in the frozen center with hatred, Kunson spat. Sure enough, these villains are all madmen. Whether it's Joker or Frozen Man, they are all lunatics who do not value other people's lives. He is almost dead, and he still needs to plot against him. If he wasn't smart, I'm afraid he would be the one living here. Jason spat beside him for a long time. The system prompt came belatedly. The host contacts the plot characters, extraction technology and rapid freezing technology of human body. Hearing the system prompts, Kunson felt better. With a depressed sigh, Jason spoke. Skynet, send armor to clean up the scene. Destroy all the evidence that shouldn't exist. After giving Skynet a few instructions, Jason put away his armor and walked outside. Soon, Jason reached the blockade. Director Gordon saw Jason coming out and quickly came over to greet him. How's little Jason doing? Is the crisis resolved? Gordon's face was filled with worry. Just now, whether it was the huge amounts of explosions or the mushroom clouds in the sky, he was a little worried, afraid of leakage of biological and chemical weapons. It evolved into a crisis that affected the entire Gotham City. If that's the case, I'm afraid he's done as the director. Jason saw the anxious look on Gordon's face. He just sighed. Gordon immediately trembled when he saw it. Director Gordon, although the biological and chemical weapons have been destroyed by our blast. But Jason made such a turn. Director Gordon finally felt relieved again. Little Jason, it's time now, so stop showing off. Tell me what's going on. When Jason heard what he said, he gave him a reassuring look. Don't worry, Commissioner Gordon. It's nothing serious. There was just a little problem. Although the biological and chemical weapons were destroyed, there was still some leakage. I'm afraid it will be closed for a certain period of time. Many residences in the neighborhood were also destroyed. But out of humanitarianism, our Wayne Group will provide certain compensation to these people. Jason explained it in one breath. Commissioner Gordon breathed a sigh of relief. Then he said somewhat coquettishly, "Isn't this bad? The Gotham City government should provide subsidies." "Forget it, Commissioner Gordon. It's better to expect a sow to climb a tree than to expect the Gotham government." A few years ago, the Gotham government talked about repairing roads, but it has been almost 5 years. "Isn't it money from our Wayne Group?" Jason pouted and said, The existence of the Gotham government is entirely a stage created by these politicians to fight among themselves. Governments elsewhere. How much meaning does it need to shout a slogan during an election campaign? Gotham City's politicians are great. That's a real slogan. I've never seen them actually take action. Every year, the bragging is loud and clear, and in the end the money comes from the Wayne Group. Over the decades, the money invested by the Gotham City government in Gotham is less than $1 billion. Can you believe it? This is a city as prosperous as New York. You can imagine what kind of politicians Gotham City is. Commissioner Gordon is a veteran. Obviously I know this is a bit unrealistic. He smiled awkwardly and didn't mention it again. Okay then. I'll make arrangements for the isolation. Kindness. Director Gordon just needs to isolate this place and that'll be fine. We at Wayne Group will take care of the rest. Don't put those punks and thieves in there. There are some homeless people, so don't put them in either. It's really dangerous in there, Jason repeated again. He really has little faith in Gotham City's police. These people make extra money for themselves, take bribes and bend the law, and each one is better than the other. But it's really about my own job. That's it. In addition, the bottom citizens of Gotham City are not so easy to manage in the first place. The people who live in this neighborhood are either hoodlums or gangsters, drug addicts and gangsters. None of them are good people. Maybe these people didn't believe the police's explanation and wanted to go in and find something cheap or something. Thinking of this, Jason also thought of it. He should build another line of defense inside. Otherwise, it would not be a good thing if his information is really leaked. Farewell to busy Commissioner Gordon. Jason used Skynet to arrange the plan again, and a mechanical defense line was established. Use drones for comprehensive surveillance. Anyone who tries to sneak in will be knocked down by anesthesia. When they woke up, it was all over. Jason thought about it and felt that there was no loophole. I returned to the laboratory feeling relaxed. He obtained a piece of technology from Frozen Man's corpse. Just check it out now. Human body rapid freezing technology. Jason inadvertently read out the name of this technology. Cryonics technology. In fact, many people are studying it now. The application of this technology generally only has two aspects. On the one hand, it is to carry out long-term space navigation. If the engine technology is not good enough, you cannot jump through the jump point. Interplanetary travel can only be achieved through long interstellar voyages. At this time, cryonics technology will be useful. The voyage begins with freezing and waits until reaching the destination east. Don't worry about the lifespan being consumed by sailing for decades or hundreds of years. The second aspect is to use it directly on people. If you get a disease that is currently untreatable, your body will be frozen until it can be treated and then thawed. Or freeze yourself after getting old and frail. After the technology to extend life is available, it will be thawed again. In the world, this thing is only for rich people. The poor cannot afford it. For him, it is of no use. The effect of extremis is much more powerful than this thing. It can directly repair wounds and cure diseases. What is the use of cryonics? There may be unforeseen risks. In comparison, cryonics technology extends lifespan and is useful for freezing time. Jason is more optimistic about its application in weapons. He is very greedy for the frozen weapons made by Frozen Man. The power is almost comparable to the weapons on the armor. It is very effective against many specific opponents, like those who play with fire. Meet this weapon dust. I'm afraid I'll be caught blind. Chapter 62. Hulk appears. Please order the full version. Please customize it. The last few days, Jason has been hiding in his laboratory, began to study the weaponization process of human rapid freezing technology. This is not an easy process. The rapid freezing technology of human body is used to save people, while the other is used to kill people. There is still a big gap. Prerequisites for cryonics. It is to replace all the blood inside the human body with refrigerated liquid. Prevents the generation of ice crystals inside human cells from damaging human cells. As a weapon, this process is not required at all. Frozen Man's cryonics technology combines freezing agents with refrigeration fluid. While freezing, perform blood transfusion. Very genius idea. However, this also caused a lot of trouble for Jason. He's not like that pervert Frozen Man. The body has been modified not to be afraid of low temperatures at all. Every time you study this kind of potion, you need to make careful calculations. Research is naturally much more difficult. Cow. Failed again. Jason angrily disposed of the mice that were used as test subjects. He cursed in great annoyance. The difficulty of this technique for Wookiee was much more difficult than he thought. He actually had no idea for a moment. He was a little envious of Tony Stark now. Such a smart mind. Studying other technologies only requires a little understanding. He is obviously a PhD in engineering. It only took a few weeks to resolve extremis on Little Pepper 027. More popular than Deadman. With a sigh, Jason prepared to continue his research. Before he could do anything, his cell phone rang. Say cow has arrived. Jason smiled helplessly. As soon as he thought about Tony Stark, this guy came with news. Does this count as telepathy? Hello? Tony, looking for me? Do you know something big is going on in New York? Tony Stark's voice was a little solemn. Jason is a little strange. New York is the most prosperous city in the entire Bald Eagle Empire. Bald Eagle's pearl? Even Washington, the capital, is not as popular as New York. The defense here is naturally very tight. Not only are Bald Eagle's most well-trained police officers there, but the headquarters of several intelligence agencies are located here. SHIELD's headquarters is here. There is also the National Guard on the outside. What can they do? What big thing could happen in New York? Aliens have invaded? Jason asked playfully. If only this were the case, I could still help. There are monsters in New York, and the entire Fifth Avenue is basically destroyed, Tony Stark said with a heavy tone. What? What kind of monster is so powerful? Are you people in New York just living on a dry diet? Without saying a word, Jason opened his mouth to shoot the map. Fifth Avenue is one of the busiest streets in New York. He actually let everyone else destroy it. What kind of monster is so stupid? Could it be that Loki brought the Irritors in advance? Hearing Jason ask this, Tony Stark was filled with anger. It wasn't General Ross, this old bastard, who directly asked the army to surround the place. Don't let outsiders interfere at all. When someone enters Fifth Avenue, he just opens fire. This old guy deserves to go to hell. The damage to Fifth Avenue is all on him. Tony Stark kept cursing, sounding very annoyed. But Jason didn't notice this. Instead he felt a thump in his heart. The Ross you are talking about is not the Bald Eagle Air Force Lieutenant General, is he? The general who took control of a military base? That's right, it's this old bastard. You know him? Tony Stark said bitterly. No, naturally. He knew this General Ross. Otherwise, this old bastard is Hulk's father-in-law. If he guessed correctly, the two monsters in New York are probably monster abominations created by Hulk and the military. No wonder it can turn the whole of New York upside down. Fortunately, Tony Stark didn't go. Even if he went there, he would be beaten to death. Inside Avengers, the strongest in melee combat is probably Hulk. When empty-handed, Thor, the second-generation god, was all punished. CFBT. Tony Stark's current small suit. I can only deliver food when I go there. Tony, I advise you not to get involved. You can't get involved in this matter, and I'm afraid it won't be of any use if you go. I'm afraid you can't defeat either of those two monsters. What? How do you know? Jason, are you hiding something from me? You seem to be very familiar with these two monsters, Tony Stark asked. Actually, you also know that monster, and you may have communicated with him. Jason spoke again. Impossible. How could I possibly know such a person? Tony Stark flatly rejected it. How is it impossible? Dr. Bruce Banner. Don't say you don't know him. Jason said something. What? You said that monster is Dr. Bruce Banner? This is impossible. Dr. Banner disappeared 5 years ago. Tony Stark's voice went up an octave. Tony Stark always thought, except for a certain little brat in this world, only Dr. Bruce Banner can compare with him. He and Bruce Banner have always been close friends. In addition, he was quite absurd when he was young, and he was a little unhappy when he met Dr. Banner. So the two rarely communicate. When he learned that Bruce Banner was missing, he was sad for a while. Now I hear that Bruce Banner has turned into a monster. How could he accept it? I'll send you a piece of information. Take a good look at it yourself. But don't make it public. I got this from the military. Jason coughed awkwardly and sent a piece of information. After Tony Stark received it, he looked at it indifferently. As for stealing information from the military, he doesn't care at all. He does this kind of thing the most. Whether it is the military or the Bald Eagle government, he is on the blacklist, and both the military and the government are building paper databases. Everyone understands that it is for defense. Getting some information from the military is a trivial matter, a few minutes of work. Tony Stark read through the information in his hand. Ross, this old bastard, really deserves to go to hell. It's really too much to persecute Dr. Banner like this, Tony Stark said angrily. Jason also coughed when he heard this. Ross, this old bastard, is really not a thing. Always likes to make trouble. But it seemed like every time he caused trouble for Banner, he was the one who was unlucky. This time it seems that he has lost his military position. I can only run away to join politics. Eventually he became the Minister of Defense. As expected, only such a shameless old bastard can survive in both the military and political circles. Chapter 63 The Powerful Hulk. Please order the full version. Please customize it. Speaking of Dr. Banner, both Jason and Tony Stark fell silent. One is feeling sorry for what happened to Dr. Banner. The other one is thinking about how to get Dr. Banner into his own hands. Even if it is, you can't get it to be your subordinate. It's good to have a good relationship now. There was silence for a long time. Tony Stark then spoke. Jason, do you really think you can't intervene? How to intervene? Let's not talk about whether you can stop those two guys on the street. You can't even get through the military blockade. Ross is a genuine Air Force Lieutenant General. Jason shook his head and said, the Bald Eagle military has always had a posture of not losing its tail. As the largest military force in the world, it spends the most military expenditures every year. The Bald Eagle's military is very powerful. The energy in the hands of an Air Force Lieutenant General is very powerful. A Lieutenant General with real power is probably more powerful than some civilian generals. The government of Bald Eagle at home is originally a system of mutual disputes. Wait until the order comes from above. I'm afraid the daylilies are getting cold. Even so to Tony Stark, But Jason himself had a little thought in mind. There is no way to help inside the military encirclement. But we can wait until Dr. Banner breaks out on his own. Whether it was helping Dr. Banner hide his whereabouts afterwards, or getting it into his own laboratory, it's all a sure profit. Tony Stark is careless. Of course I don't know what Jason is thinking in his heart. Hear Jason say that. He also knew that his own ideas were simply unrealistic. After saying a few words gloomily, he hung up the communication directly. Wait until Tony Stark cuts off the communication. Jason then spoke. Skynet, hurry up, bring out the surveillance on 5th Avenue and see how the situation is. Also, call all the cameras in the area. Get ready to follow Bruce Banner's trail. Also, send the Shadow Armor to New York on standby. The Shadow Armor is a special type of armor that he specially modified. The combat effectiveness is very low, but the hiding ability and speed are top-notch. Almost no radar reflection. The matching optical camouflage can completely achieve the purpose of invisibility in the dark night, enough to transport Bruce Banner away from New York without a trace. In fact, Jason has always felt that Bruce Banner's escape from New York. I'm afraid Child is behind this. Nick Fury, a bald guy, probably had his eye on Bruce Banner from the beginning. Otherwise, there would be no one to help hide the traces. It would not be easy for Bruce Banner to hide his traces. The military's tracking technology is very advanced, whether it is military satellites or electronic communication technology. Unless Bruce Banner is hiding in the deep mountains and forests, it is impossible to escape tracking. Now, he was about to prepare and go directly to intercept whose Child. Jason thought for a moment. Skynet has brought out the surveillance on 5th Avenue. He also quietly invaded a military satellite over New York to provide him with a better view. Jason turned his attention to the screen. I saw a scene after the war. The originally very bustling 5th Avenue. It was almost in ruins. There were fires and exploding cars everywhere. People's cries and shouts. There were also occasional gunshots, making the whole environment extremely noisy. Jason frowned as he looked at it. In this chaotic situation, according to the character of New York people, I'm afraid it's not safe. Normally, the security situation in New York is not very good. It is common to rob convenience stores in broad daylight, not to mention the current chaotic situation. I'm afraid that fires in many places were deliberately set by someone. But that's not something he should worry about. Shaking his head, he turned his attention to another screen. That's exactly what happens when Hulk and the Abomination fight. These two bodies are extremely perverted. The fight was really punching and extremely exciting. The muffled sound made by the two people's struggle even made Jason's stereo blare. The two of them had a heated fight. But the soldiers in the military suffered a lot. The M1 tank was originally able to show off its power on the battlefield of oil countries. It's like a toy inside the two monsters. From time to time, these two guys would directly pick it up and use it as a weapon. Then it fell into pieces. One can imagine the fate of the bald eagle soldier inside. Therefore, Ross is really capable of becoming the Minister of National Defense after something like this happened. The situation on the battlefield is changing rapidly, whether it's Dr. Banner or the sub-personality Hulk in his body. Please give me flowers. He's not much of a character who's good at fighting. In front of the hatred of a special soldier, it is simply not enough. He was quickly suppressed and put at a disadvantage. Abomination seized the opportunity and kicked him out. A very cruel smile appeared on Hate's twisted face. Hulk, today is the day you die. Having this kind of power but not knowing how to use it is a waste. When Hulk heard this, he roared. Then he rushed up. However, Coulson noticed it keenly. When Abomination received Hulk's fist again, he began to feel a little powerless. Jason's mouth twitched when he saw this. Tell me, what are you doing with this exciting thing when you have nothing to do? Zero. Hulk is a monster that gets stronger the angrier it gets. During the Great War in New York, he even stopped the Graphite armor with one hand. That thing is probably at least several thousand tons. I hate a pirated product and dare to be so provocative. He doesn't know who gave him the courage. Have you listened to too many songs by Liang Jingru? Sure enough, as Jason expected, the situation quickly changed. As the level of anger increases, Hulk's fists are getting heavier and heavier. Even though he started to hate him, he could still rely on his superb fighting skills to survive. Later, under absolute power, he was beaten so hard that he kept retreating. Even under this situation, the hater with a big head couldn't stop talking. Impossible. How is this possible? I am the strongest. As soon as he said this, he was punched in the face by Hulk, and several teeth flew out. Hulk could even directly grab the bone spurs on Abomination's back and break them off. With a roar, looking at Jason from far away in Gotham, he took a deep breath. Can't afford to offend. Can't afford to offend. This fat green guy is so crazy that he is no longer human. He just saw that the tank's main gun hit the bone spikes on Abomination's back without any damage. The sturdiness is probably slightly better than his armor. Just break it with your hand. This is a human being. When I used to watch movies, Jason still doesn't understand how powerful Hulk is. Watching the live broadcast now, you can see how powerful Hulk is. I'm afraid he's wearing a battle armor and won't be able to take a punch easily. Chapter 64, Banner in the Young Era. Please order the full version. Please customize it. The result is no longer in doubt. Although Abomination has gained huge amounts of power, it is still a knockoff. After Banner's power becomes stronger and stronger, all that's left is being beaten. Hulk even developed his own air cannon, directly utilizing huge amounts of force to squeeze the air. The shockwave sent out immediately staggered Abomination. Then he rushed forward and gave him a good punch. Abomination was immediately stunned. The extraordinary resilience in his body has lost its effect. This is like killing Hulk on the Asgard immigration ship more than 10 years later. Causes huge amounts of damage in an instant. It also takes a long time to recover. Hate is what it is now. Autism was directly hit by huge amounts of force. Pale green blood flowed from the corners of his mouth. The arrogant momentum just now disappeared, and the whole person fell into a 980 semi-conscious state. But Hulk didn't stop, just pressed the hatred to the ground. The fists of the sandbag file size rained down on Abomination's body. Jason felt a little numb when he saw it. Too cruel. This time it is considered the resilience of hatred. I'm afraid I won't be able to recover if I don't lie in the hospital for half a year. I don't know how many times I was hit, until you hit it so hard that you have more air coming out and less air coming in, and it's almost impossible to see the original appearance. Hulk was the first to listen. He looked up to the sky and let out a roar. He looked at General Ross in the helicopter next to him with murderous eyes. This made General Ross, who was always known as a tough guy, couldn't help but tremble. Fortunately he has a good daughter. Even if he protects Ross, otherwise, a new record will be added to the Bald Eagle Empire. After World War II, the highest-ranking military officer was killed. Hulk looked at his girlfriend. There was a hint of tenderness in his eyes. He let out a roar and then rushed away quickly. Seeing Hulk escape, General Ross stood up from behind his daughter angrily. Chase me. If you let him run away, wait until you take me to a military court. At Ross's command, the bald eagle soldier who was watching the show just now followed reluctantly. That dawdling posture. Those who don't know really think that they are good soldiers who love their people like their own children. Jason chuckled when he saw this scene in Gotham. At the same time, my heart moved. The opportunity has come. Skynet. Lock him. Let the shadow armor be in place quickly. Jason said a few words quickly. Target locked. The armor will be in place in 2 minutes. Dan Wang's unhurried voice came to mind. Hulk huge amounts of figure. Even in the night, it is very obvious. With the help of military satellites, locking down Hulk is very easy. The bald eagle soldiers behind Hulk did not have such luck. There are many situations on the trail. Either we encountered a car that had an accident or civilians blocking the road. After a while, Hulk disappeared directly. Jason looked at the scene. He hummed twice. If this was correct, he would have eaten the table in front of him. When did the bald eagle people dare to stop the car of the bald eagle soldiers? These people are not good birds. Killing civilians has no psychological burden at all. Moreover, perform military missions. There will be no court-martial at all. When something goes wrong, it's the superior officer who takes the blame. He didn't believe that the bald eagle man was so bold. Even if you don't take a shot from a gun, it will be very uncomfortable to be hit by a gun, but someone must be up to something behind this. Either Nick Fury or his old nemesis Hydra. Not many people in New York can react so quickly and use this kind of power. Ignore these guys. Jason's eyes quickly followed Hulk's. However, at the moment Hulk entered a park directly, the green body disappeared into the woods. It soon disappeared. Jason knew that Hulk must have turned into Dr. Banner and hid directly. Skynet, is the armor in place? Activate the life detection device. Find Dr. Banner. The battle armor is in place and the life detection device is turned on. Skynet's voice fell. There was a radar map in front of Jason. Several red dots appeared on it, meaning these are human beings. Among them, Dr. Banner's spot of light is particularly dazzling. However, apart from Dr. Banner, there are also fainter spots of light in this forest. But it has nothing to do with him. Skynet, control the armor and kill all these people. Let them have a good sleep, Jason said with a smirk on his face. The armor with the word shadow was originally used for sneaking into assassinations and escaping. In addition to the poisonous needles that kill people, the body is equipped with anesthesia weapons. No matter what these people do, I'm afraid I'm going to have a good dream tonight. Let Skynet control the armor to clear out these redundant people. Jason directly took over control of a piece of armor and went in towards Bruce Banner. In the life detector display, Bruce Banner's spotlight is particularly dazzling, and he stayed in the middle of the woods and didn't move for a long time. Jason guessed that Bruce Banner might be taking a break. After transforming into Hulk, he went through such a battle. Bruce Banner was obviously very tired. Jason controls the fast-moving armor. Soon, we arrived near Bruce Banner. Originally, he wanted to observe it in the woods, but I didn't expect it. He just arrived nearby. Bruce Banner spoke. Who? Bruce Banner's voice was full of caution. There is still a bit of uncertainty, and it seems that today's experience has had a great impact on him. Dr. Banner, I don't mean any harm. As Jason spoke, he controlled the armor and walked out. Wireless-controlled robot, 3.6. The military's technology is really advanced. Bruce Banner scoffed. Dr. Banner, you misunderstood. I'm not from the military. Jason defended himself. Ah, you are not from the military. How could you find me here? Bruce Banner taunted again. Jason looked at young Bruce Banner carefully. I have never experienced the nearly 10 years of living in the slums. Bruce Banner is obviously much more irritable now. The character doesn't look very good either, not at all like the very gentle Chinese many years later. The tone was also full of provocation, but considering his experience, Jason can understand. If he was domestically abused by his father since he was a child, the character may be worse. Chapter 65 System Privilege Elevation. Please order in full. Please customize. Bruce Banner was a bit beyond Jason's expectations, acting very aggressive, and the distrust in his tone could be heard by Jason even through his armor. However, I just experienced something like this. This situation is no exception. Jason grew up in the slums of Gotham, so he understands it very well. Dr. Banner, I know you don't trust me now, but actually, I really want to help you. Hearing Jason's words, Bruce Banner's eyes became even more sarcastic. I have no relatives. Why are you helping me? Are you an angel sent by God? Jason looked helplessly at Bruce Banner in front of him. No wonder Tony Stark can hang out with Bruce Banner. Both people are the same person. When I was young, he has a bad mouth and is very unpleasant. That guy Tony Stark often hung up on him in the middle of the night. Get him out of bed. Completely disregarding his thoughts. He is also very sarcastic when he talks. He is often so angry that others want to tear his mouth apart. Now he felt it again in Bruce Banner. If he hadn't been unable to defeat him, Jason would have taken action directly. It seems that Dr. Bruce Banner has not experienced the beating from society yet. Wait until he has lived in the slums for a few years. The whole person will become gentle. Thinking of this, Jason had no intention of continuing to communicate with him. Okay, Dr. Banner, think whatever you like. I won't tell you more. These are for you. Bye-bye. And remember, my name is Jason Wayne. After saying that, Jason controlled the armor and turned around to leave. Wait until you leave. Jason just thought about it. It's not a good thing to have Bruce Banner now. Dr. Banner now is nothing like he will be a few years ago. Have good controllability. It can explode at any time. When the time comes, he will be the unlucky one. Forget it. Let him fend for himself. We can communicate later after forming a good relationship. Thinking of this, Jason's mood improved again. Not as disappointed as before. As soon as he relaxed, the system's beep sounded in his mind. Get in touch with plot characters. Extraction technology. Extraction technology. Extract. The sound of Jason's system seemed to be stuck, and his heart suddenly jumped. This is what he depends on for a living. It won't break, right? The expression on Jason's face suddenly turned ugly. If I had known earlier, he wouldn't have been so curious and came to see Dr. Banner. Okay, now, the system is going to crash. What should I do? Just when Jason was extremely anxious, suddenly, a sharp system prompt sounded in his mind. Warn, unknown data intrusion detected. Unknown data intrusion detected. Execute emergency countermeasures. The Chinook Void engine is temporarily activated. The cosmological constant is being assimilated. Please authorize the firing of the Chinook energy disintegration cannon. I don't know if it's an illusion. Jason always felt like there was a little bit of emotion in the system, but at this time, I can't care too much. Jason said anxiously. Authorize. Authorize now. Get authorization. The nether energy disintegration weapon is being charged. Cross-domain attack ready. Sending extra-dimensional interference. The underlying coordinate space is locked. The nether energy disintegration cannon is fully charged. Execute the strike. The moment the system sound fell, several great beings in this universe suddenly felt heart palpitations. A blue beam of light was emitted from an unknown place in the universe, shooting straight towards the bottom of the universe. This beam of light is not like an ordinary light. Instead, it looks like blue crystal. It looks extremely crystal clear. However, after just one look, a sense of danger arises from the bottom of my heart. Beam directly traveled through countless spaces and came to the bottom of the universe. This is the deepest part of the universe. All the evil and darkness in the entire universe comes from here. The 5 gods of the main universe call this place Hell. There is a green door above the main space of Hell. It is engraved with the marks of countless gods. The marks of eternity, death, destruction, etc. are all engraved here. Block the passage to Hell. And inside the gate, there is something indescribable. This indescribable thing is indescribably long. Even if it's just a quick glance, the soul will become crazy and twisted. Hoarse whispers continued to sound from nearby. All Hell is calling the name of this indescribable thing. Oba. It's a pity. It was almost a male or female voice sounded from here. The tone was full of regret. After saying that, Oba huddled up lazily. However, as soon as it relaxed, it felt a sense of horror in its heart. In an instant, countless defenses were set up around him. A blue beam of light shuttled in directly from the outside world. The door covered with seals seemed to not exist at all, and was directly penetrated by this blue beam of light. The way Obar was established is like paper, with layers falling apart. The blue beam directly hit the main body of Obar. Blue crystals spread directly on Obar's body. Then it slowly breaks apart, became the tiniest particle in the universe. The blue light constantly spreads, until Obar only has 1/10 of the body left under 110. The energy of the blue beam was slowly consumed. No, the sound of despair spreads in this hell. Countless amounts of black gas began to gather near the O-bar. Started to repair his body. However, this process will be extremely long. And on the other side, Jason had no idea what was going on in the hell of the universe. He was anxiously waiting for news from the system. Good thing. The system's beep sounded quickly in his mind. Reach the goal. Emergency counterattack mechanism is closed. The regular system is coming online. General system loading completed. Congratulations to the host. The permissions have been upgraded. Authority increased to censorship. Inspector, you can choose from one of the following technologies. General knowledge on nuclear physics of Type 1 civilization. Gamma strengthening potion. A kind of general knowledge of civilized creatures. The options cannot be changed once selected. Please choose carefully. System notifications sounded in Jason's mind. Jason was overwhelmed by what he heard. What followed was unbearable ecstasy. System privilege escalation. Is there such a good thing? Seeing the technology provided by the system, Jason was even more enthusiastic. Is this still a choice? Definitely choose Hulk potion. If the fist is big enough, he will study. Chapter 66, Gamma strengthening potion. Please order the full version. Please customize it. Jason never thought about it. His luck can be so good. Come out and watch the excitement. And you can even get a big gift package from the sky. Just do an upgrade slam. It not only gave him elevated system permissions, even Dr. Banner's housekeeping skills were revealed. When he thought about this, Jason just wanted to kiss Dr. Banner. He suppressed his excitement. Jason chose in his mind. Choose Gamma strengthening potion. Inspector, you have chosen Gamma strengthening medicine pavilion. Technology is being released. O-bar core purification liquid is being distributed. Please note that this item is unique and cannot be copied. Please use with caution. Jason was stunned when he heard this. This was the first time he had seen this kind of situation. The system actually proactively distributed materials. Then Jason lowered his head. On the table in front of him, at some point, there was a silver white metal bottle. The surface of the bottle is very smooth. It doesn't look like metal at all, but like a gemstone. The bottle cap on top is also a bit ingenious, completely integrated with the bottle. If it is not a system prompt, he thought the system had given him a piece of metal. Jason suddenly became interested. Through this bottle, can we tell the origin of the system? Skynet, check this bottle. Jason placed the bottle on top of the machine. A beam of light scanned from above. This is a new type of scanning tunneling microscope. The surface morphology of materials at the nanometer level can be observed. With this instrument, one can even see the whole picture of atoms. There are definitely no more than 50 such instruments in the world. Jason turned his gaze directly to the screen. But what shocked him was, what appeared on the electronic screen was a smooth plane, no different from what he observed with the naked eye. Jason's face was full of shock. The magnification of a scanning tunneling microscope is around 5,000 to 10,000 times. In theory, dogs can observe the shape of atoms. This happens now. This shows that the structure of this material is much smaller on a microscopic scale than he imagined. Scanning tunneling microscopy cannot observe its surface morphology at all. It's like looking at glass with a magnifying glass. No matter how much you zoom in, you still see a smooth surface. The magnification is not enough. Jason was not discouraged. He would only be disappointed if the things given by the system were so easy to study. Skynet conducts full spectrum analysis, vertical bar, X-ray scanning and particle beam interaction experiments, chromatography, mass spectrometry, and electrochemical analysis, electron energy analysis, differential thermal analysis, MOSFET spectrum analysis. Jason talked about dozens of analysis methods in one go. It covers almost all research methods used by human civilization to study new materials. Soon the results were obtained by Skynet and displayed on the screen. Jason looked at the spectroscopic results given by the system. Then the whole person was blinded. The analysis results given by the system are empty. It cannot be said that it is completely blank. It can only be said that there are no peaks in the spectral analysis. Looking at the spectral analysis diagram is actually looking at the peaks of the reflected waves. Different materials produce different photon reflection wave peaks. It is through this difference that the different properties of various materials can be studied. However, the material given by the system has no peaks at all. The entire spectrum is flat. This indicates that this material absorbs all emitted light, and no particles are reflected back at all. Jason grabbed a handful of hair and took a breath. It's a system indeed. Just one material can break the imagination of the entire physics community. Jason immediately gave up the idea of continuing research. According to the technology he has now, there is simply no way to pass such material. Forget it. Let's look at gamma strengthening technology. 11. Anyway, there is no threat to the system now. Jason thought to himself. Not only did the system pose no threat, it also brought him many benefits. But Jason still felt a little uneasy. There is no such thing as a pie in the sky. Is it possible to give him such a huge benefit out of thin air without asking for anything in return? However, it is useless for him to think about this now. He hid his doubts in his heart. Then start looking at gamma strengthening potions. Gamma rays are a very common thing. Essentially, this is an electromagnetic wave. It is the same thing as the light, infrared, etc. we usually see. It's just that the wavelength is different. Because its wavelength is very short, the energy contained in photons is very high. It is also classified as a type of ionizing radiation. Moreover, gamma rays are produced when atoms decay and can also be converted into nuclear radiation. As the old saying goes, talking about toxicity without considering the dosage is just a hooliganism. The same goes for gamma rays. The gamma rays produced by the sun every day are refracted by the atmosphere, leaving only a small part. It poses no threat to the human body at all, unless gamma rays are irradiated in large doses. The human body's adaptive ability is not afraid of this effect at all. It just so happens the amount of gamma rays used in gamma strengthening agents is the lethal dose. Ordinary people would die long ago after being exposed to gamma radiation through this method. Bruce Banner's survival was a complete coincidence. Fortunately, the safety of the system-modified medicines is still guaranteed. The principle is very simple. Gamma rays are used to cause benign mutagenesis of human cells. Enables human cells to absorb gamma rays to strengthen the human body. You can become stronger simply by basking in the sun. But, I don't know why, the medicine provided by the system does not have the effect that the angrier you are, the stronger it becomes. Corresponding. Even after modification, the human body will not change. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to bear the sight of turning into the Hulk. Even so, the effect of the potion is very powerful, and it can continuously absorb gamma rays, constantly becoming stronger. According to theory, if he keeps absorbing light, when the time is long enough, it is completely capable of becoming an immortal existence. Thinking of this, Jason felt excited. I can't wait to make the strengthening potion right away. Moreover, it is not only able to absorb the gamma range emitted by the sun, the arc reactor's cold nuclear fusion will also emit a small amount of gamma rays. In this way, it is simply double the happiness. Jason didn't even think about it again. Do you want to coss a wave of Iron Man and install an arc reactor on the chest? Anyway, I already have the armor. There is no shame in building a reactor. The thought of a conflict later. Others finally broke through the armor. Only then did I realize that I was stronger than the armor. How desperate would that be? Jason smiled when he thought of this and couldn't help but dive directly into the laboratory. However, he always felt that he had forgotten something. At the same time, Dr. Banner in New York, taking the money given by Jason, he was ready to escape. Suddenly my legs felt weak. The whole body seemed to be hollowed out. Chapter 67, Taking Potion. Please order the full version. Please customize it. Human body modification is a very dangerous thing. If you are not careful, problems of this kind will occur. Taking a closer look at the entire universe, Captain America is the only one who has undergone human body modification without any problems. For other people, it's not because of physical problems, it's just a mental illness. For example, Dr. Bruce Banner directly suffered from schizophrenia. Jason naturally had to be fully prepared before making the potion before he would take it. First, just understand the principle of gamma strengthening potion. Before you figure this out, it was difficult for him to just take the potion. Only, this is easy to say. Without experimental subjects, it is very difficult to conduct research, especially in Dr. Banner's absence. He knows it very well. How do human cells absorb high-energy radiation? It's hard to understand that it relies on photosynthesis. Jason took a malicious look at the Hulk's skin color. Superman's hometown is green, and he can absorb solar radiation and become stronger. Hulk is also green and can absorb sunlight and become stronger. There might be some connection between these two. In my heart, I maliciously slandered the two guys who were not human beings. Jason began to prepare the potion. In fact, the configuration of gamma strengthening agent is not difficult. It is enough to synthesize according to the ratio of various substances given by the system. Finally add the vial of unknown substance given by the system. Even if the big 347 is done. Jason had seen that the medicines used in the formula were basically common high-energy nutrient solutions. Nothing special at all. So he waited until his potion ration was completed. His tests still showed no progress. Look at the bottle of liquid in front of you. Jason carefully took out a drop and tested the liquid. Skynet. Provide the test results as soon as possible. Building molecular dynamics models. Jason made himself a cup of coffee and waited for the test results from Skynet. Soon, Skynet's test results came out. However, it was somewhat beyond his expectation. How can it be? His tests showed the test results of this strengthening potion were no different from the nutrient solution he prepared. The bottle of unknown substance given by the system seemed to contain nothing at all. There are two possibilities. One is that the system is cheating him. The other is that his technology, CFBD, has not reached that level. He preferred to believe it was the latter. Jason's face looked uncertain. Skynet, showing molecular model, simulating electron motion. See if the basic molecules of matter change. Jason said with a gloomy face. Soon, the molecular model was established by Skynet. Based on Skynet's powerful computing capabilities, the accuracy of this model is almost 99%. However, he still didn't find anything wrong with this molecular model. The expression on Jason's face became a little uncertain again. He thinks about it now. Should he try drinking these potions directly? In this way, he will face unknown risks. To be honest, now he is living a happy life. I don't want to bet on the probability that nothing will go wrong. But then he thought about it. This world doesn't seem to be a safe world. Not to mention that Thanos has already been plotting against the Earth in the universe for a long time. The few people Batman knows don't have fuel-efficient lamps. Something like Superman, Wonder Woman, etc. None of the villains he faced were easy to mess with. His environment was not as safe as he thought. Never mind, stress the bold to death and starve the timid to death. Is there any way to gain strength without taking risks? Skynet. Prepare a large gamma-ray emitter, seal a laboratory and start radiating the ice wall device. Prepare high-concentration extremis stock solution and prepare first aid. Jason issued the order 3 times 5 times 2. He took off his clothes and lay down together. In his right hand is the bottle of gamma-strengthening potion he made. The instrument is charged and preparations for gamma-ray emission are complete. The atomic decay device is ready. High-energy extremis stock solution is ready. Dan Wang's emotionless voice sounded next to him. A trace of cruelty flashed in Jason's eyes. He poured the potion directly into his mouth. Those who saw him drank the potion. Skynet directly turned on the gamma-ray emission device. This device produces gamma rays through the decay of atoms. The instantaneous production of gamma rays can even exceed that of the sun. Ordinary people are in front of such a machine. In a matter of seconds, genetic collapse occurs. The body literally melted away within weeks. If the potion fails, it was inevitable that Jason would end up like this. So it's really a big gamble. The moment the instrument started, Jason didn't feel anything yet. I only feel the opposite angle of the spring breeze blowing on my face. On the contrary, it's a little comfortable. Soon, the situation changed. Jason felt as if there was an extra ball of lava in his body, constantly flowing in the body. Severe pain came out in every cell of his body. It's like there is a steel needle stirring constantly. That feeling was like Liu Pi. The suppressed pain burst out of his mouth. He knew that he had to be patient at this time. The cells in his body are being remodeled under the influence of gamma rays and agents. If he leaves at the moment, it is very likely that all his previous efforts will be wasted. There is even a risk of genetic collapse. Gritting his teeth, Jason slowly endured it. A few minutes. In Jason's eyes, it seemed like several years had passed. Fortunately, it was very quick. The pain dissipated like a tide. It turned into a warm feeling. Made Jason feel very comfortable. Skynet, is the gamma-ray emission device still on? Yes, Master. The gamma-ray device is still on. There was also a hint of surprise in Dan Wang's tone, which had always been calm. Obviously, Jason's current situation and changes in his body are very strange. Master, your body has changed. What changes? Jason said. Upon hearing Jason's question, Skynet placed a photo directly in front of him. I am Cow. Is this me? Jason looked at the people on the screen and was shocked. It was really such a big change that he couldn't believe it. Although he has an adult soul, but because of his age, Jason is still a little kid, less than 1.5 meters tall. He is a bit short among his peers. Coupled with the previous malnutrition, Jason was as thin as a bamboo pole. There is not even an ounce of meat on the body. If it wasn't for its good looks, it would really be unwatchable. But now, huge amounts of changes took place in his whole being. If it weren't for Skynet's inability to lie, he would even think that Skynet put his head on Bruce Wayne's body. It's incredible. Chapter 68, Powerful. Please order in full. Please customize. The effect of the gamma-strengthening potion is much better than Jason imagined. It's not just physical fitness that has changed, even the appearance has changed. It's like Captain America was injected with a super soldier serum. Suddenly he became a muscular tyrant. Looking at the muscles on his body, Constant nodded with satisfaction. Next time you see Tony Stark, be sure to mock him. Even though he is only 1.6 meters tall, he mocks him every day for being 1.5 meters tall. It's simply too much. Now, it's time for him to feel his own pain. I smiled a little wretchedly in my heart. Jason couldn't wait to put on Bruce Wayne's clothes and went to Bruce Wayne's private training ground. Bruce Wayne became Batman for a reason. In addition to necessary social activities and doing chivalrous work outside, he spent most of his time at the training ground. Completely different from Tony Stark, the playboy who spent half his life in bed. Therefore, the underground training facilities in Wayne Manor are very complete. It's not just the equipment in a regular gym. There is also a small shooting range in the back. When he first arrived at Wayne Group, Jason even went to Master Beat, but later his wrist was dislocated and he never went there again. This time he was going to test his strength on the training ground. Skynet, prepare to monitor my physical condition in real time. Create my profile, Jason said casually. Already in the beginning, he asked Skynet to create his personal file. Various body data are collected almost every 6 months. Scientists like them are very prone to sudden death. Take Tony Stark for example. Shang Xiao was played every night, and the body was consumed by wine and sex. But this guy just stayed up all night doing research. The food was burgers and coffee. Under this situation, Tony Stark didn't die suddenly. Jason has to say that Tony Stark is himself. He has no interest in betting on this probability. Therefore, he usually pays great attention to his health. Now it's time to compare with his data. Picking up a 25 kilograms dumbbell plate, Jason gave it a try. Then he looked weird. It's not that this thing is too heavy, but it's too light. If it were him before, He wouldn't even think about such a thing. But now, holding this dumbbell chip, Jason even felt like he was just holding a bag of potato chips. Skynet, prepare the boxing test machine. This thing doesn't make sense anymore, Jason said with sour teeth. He originally thought that even if the strength increased, it would not be too exaggerated. He didn't lose control of his power at all. But now it seems, or because the potion is too powerful, his nervous system has also been strengthened. A perfect match for his own strength. He has no correct understanding of his own power at all. Judging from just now, his strength is not as strong as iron, but it's almost there. This is the advantage of having a factory at home. The machine Jason wanted was quickly brought over by dozens of armors. For the sake of the future, Skynet directly designed a testing instrument with an upper limit that can withstand several hundred tons. The volume is naturally a bit larger, file size that occupies more than half of the venue. After the equipment was installed, Jason warmed up. Skynet, prepare to record the values. As he spoke, Jason shook his wrist and punched the machine with all his strength. Boom. There was a muffled sound. There is an obvious punch mark on the special rubber carbon fiber material. The numbers on the instrument kept jumping up. 2,430. Seeing this number, Jason raised his eyebrows. So strong? You know, he has just strengthened his body and there is still a lot of room for improvement. And he had never learned any systematic way of exerting force before. This power is at most 2/3 of his full strength. That's close to 250 tons. What a concept. The speed of his punch is about 100 meters per second. According to the kinetic energy formula, power is equal to force multiplied by speed. In other words, the power of his punch is about 2 million kilowatts. A country with a large population like the electricity load in third and fourth tier cities is only 1 million kilowatts. The power of Jason's punch was equivalent to the load of 2 cities, although the performance is not that obvious in terms of strength. But if one punch punches through a 5 to 6 story building, it probably won't be a big problem. It has completely exceeded the boundaries of human beings, unless it's anti-Hulk armor, I'm afraid. Otherwise, ordinary steel armor will only be regarded as a toy in front of him in the future. Please give me flowers. It turns out that just one body strengthening potion can make you so strong. It's a beautiful comic book world where there are as many gods as dogs, hanging on the walls and everywhere. This strength has grown a bit too fast. Jason made a deal in his mind. The people in the training room couldn't help but sigh. Now, even Tan Wang, who had been calm all this time, couldn't stand it anymore. If she wasn't an artificial intelligence, she would probably spit in Jason's face. Who are you pretending to be? I can't stand Jason's pretentiousness. Skynet's gentle voice rang out from the speakers. Master, your physical examination report is out. Do you want to take a look? Jason, who was immersed in joy, did not notice the vividness of Skynet's tone. Okay, cast it on the screen for me. Soon a string of data appeared on the screen. 0. Jason looked at it and saw that it was completely different from before. Before strengthening, his weight was only 40 kilograms. My current weight is straight towards 300 kilograms. But his figure does not look fat. One can imagine how incredibly dense his body is. The heart beats only half as often as normal people. It's just that the heart beats more vigorously. Jason even seemed to be able to hear the sound of blood flowing in his veins. Not only that, the activity of various organs in his body has been greatly enhanced. Even the gut flora, when taken outside, they can be regarded as superbacteria, the kind that no drug can kill. No wonder some previous works said that the blood of gods is poison to ordinary people. Bacteria with such high activity. It's okay to enter an ordinary human body, Jason said in surprise. I'm afraid he has nothing to do with voluntary blood donation in this life. I'm afraid there are no humans in the world who can bear his blood. Check the parameters of each part of the body. Jason was secretly surprised. He can be sure that he is very strong now. Very strong, not at all human. From now on, when he goes out, as long as he doesn't meet a pervert, he can walk sideways. Jason was feeling complacent. A voice suddenly came from behind him. Who are you? Why are you here? Don't move. Jason wanted to turn around, but just halfway through, I heard a gunshot. Then my back felt like it had been pricked with needles. Chapter 69 Misunderstanding. Please order the full version. Please customize it. Jason turned around. He looked at Mr. Alfred holding a pistol with disbelief. Just shoot right now? What about your normally amiable persona? Why did you shoot without saying anything? Compared to Jason, Alfred was even more confused. He looked at the Glock pistol in his hand, and then at the shape-shifted bullet that fell on the ground. The old man is a little doubtful about life. He fired a shot at the target next to him. No problem. It's a real gun. But look at the bullet that only tore through one layer of someone's shirt. Alfred was considering whether to go to Glock for an explanation. Jason? But Alfred reacted quickly. He looked suspiciously at Jason, who was already a head taller than him. Grandpa Alfred, it's me, Jason said helplessly. As expected, this old man came from the 513 section of MI6. Make a move. That is totally unhesitation. Fortunately, after strengthening his body, His body defense is also incredibly powerful. Hulk has just gone through strengthening. It can even withstand the bombardment of 20mm cannons from military-armed helicopters. That is a powerful weapon that can easily smash concrete walls into pieces. He can now stop pistol bullets. There seems to be nothing to be surprised about. Hearing Jason's voice, Alfred confirmed Jason's identity. He looked at Jason carefully, then asked, "Jason, how did you end up like this?" Something went wrong when I took the medicine," Jason said quietly. He is very satisfied with his current physical condition. Do you not want to transform from a 6-inch boy into a muscular man with a height of 1.8 meters? However, this is very difficult to accept for Alfred, who regards Jason as his own son. You get home, seeing his son suddenly grow into a strong man who is even more powerful than himself. It's hard for you to accept. This change is so rapid. Alfred was a little caught off guard. In the end he could only sigh. Jason, I know you are a genius, but you can't be reckless. What if there are any hidden dangers left? Hearing Alfred's concern about culture, Kunson felt warm in his heart. No, Grandpa Alfred, this is science. There are no uncontrollable variables. Jason said this without blushing. Of course Alfred didn't know that Jason was talking nonsense. If he can't hold on to the strengthening just now, they are probably all disabled now. Heard that said, Alfred felt a little relieved. But he still said it. Even if you say that, you are too messy. You can't be sure. What if something goes wrong? Besides, although we at Wayne Group are not afraid, how will others see your huge amounts of changes when they are spread out? Maybe he thought you were switched. Alfred also had a headache when he said this. He wasn't sure just now. After listening to Jason's voice, he even looked at Jason carefully to be sure. Those little unconscious actions cannot be faked. He can confirm it. But others can't. Suddenly grew so big. Said to be Bruce Wayne's illegitimate son. Who believes it? He didn't even believe it when he said it. Thinking of this, Alfred had a headache. At this time, behind them, a voice came again. Who are you? Alfred, who is this? Alfred looked at Bruce Wayne who was approaching, rubbing his shoulders. More headache. Have to. One problem has not been solved yet. Then another one came. He can no longer be a housekeeper. It took Jason a lot of effort to convince Bruce Wayne that he had not switched the package. In the end, Skynet was used to prove himself. Wait until this is confirmed. Bruce Wayne marveled at Jason. The look in his eyes made Jason feel a little uncomfortable. Jason, do you still have this potion? After hearing Alfred say that Jason was hit by a bullet in the front and was unhurt, Bruce Wayne's eyes lit up. If there are conditions, who doesn't want to be a super-able person? Every time he meets Superman, he always felt a little shorter. Meet other superheroes and ask him. He could only laugh at himself and say that he was rich. In fact, why doesn't he want to become a super-ability person? If that were the case, he wouldn't have to work so hard when he went out to do heroic things. Jason looked at Bruce Wayne's face lighting up. Jason could only shake his head helplessly. This one really doesn't exist anymore. But didn't I give you a desperate injection? Don't you feel anything? Jason looked at Bruce Wayne strangely. What he injected into Bruce Wayne was the high-level version. Although it is not as abnormal as Gamma strengthening potion, but it definitely rivals Captain America's super soldier serum. Strength, reaction speed, and recovery ability have all been enhanced. No matter how you look at Bruce Wayne, it seems like he has nothing. Seeing Jason's scrutinizing gaze, Bruce Wayne also smiled awkwardly. The extremist strengthening effect is indeed very powerful. His strength has increased at least 3 to 4 times, and is still growing. The wound recovery effect is also very good. His arm had been shot before he came. If it were before, you will have to stay in the hospital for at least a few months. Now, his wound has recovered. In fact, he was very satisfied. But seeing Jason can stop a bullet, he was naturally envious. Want to have one? The look in Jason's eyes when he saw Bruce Wayne. I cursed inwardly. What kind of bike do you want? Still not satisfied. But this is also human nature. After cursing in his mind for a long time, he still said helplessly, I guess it won't work this time. The materials used to make this potion are very rare. If I get a chance in the future, I'll get you a copy. Then it's settled. Bruce 4.0 Wayne thought happily. Kiss your own son. What are you being polite about? But, having said that, what's going on with you? Jason looked at the bullet hole in Bruce Wayne's arm. Well, hearing Jason ask this, Bruce Wayne sighed. The whole person became a little depressed. This matter actually has something to do with me. Bruce Wayne shook his head and said, this time he went out and met an old friend of his, Harvey Dent, originally the district attorney of Gotham City. He is an upright man and is known as the Bright Knight of Gotham City. He is a very decent person. That's why he admired Harvey so much. Because from him, we can see all the bright parts of human beings. Only all this changed after Ocean appeared. Chapter 70 Two-Faced Man. Please order the full version. Please customize it. Joker is a very formidable enemy, Bruce Wayne said in front of Jason again. Harvey would have been a very bright man. Although his childhood home life was unhappy, he was not tainted by it. Instead, through his own efforts, he became a prosecutor, and, very shield. You can think about it. Coming from a family where his mother is a drug addict and his father is an alcoholic, how difficult it is for him to achieve such an achievement. Bruce Wayne sighed. Hearing this, Jason nodded in agreement. The influence of one's family of origin on a person. A sound that almost penetrated a person. People who had an unfortunate childhood will have more or less psychological problems when they grow up. Dr. Bruce Banner's split personality, Tony Stark's eccentricities and arrogance. It's all related to this boy's experience. If Bruce Wayne didn't have a good housekeeper and a good master, he would take over the role of his parents. It's hard to say what the future will be like. After Harvey Dent experienced his parents' divorce and domestic violence, he still grew into a bright man. It's incredible. After meeting Jason, I understood what he meant. Bruce Wayne speaks again. It is precisely because of this that I say Joker is scary. What's scary about him is not his force, but his ability to manipulate people's hearts. Few people who came into contact with him remained normal. So does Harvey. There was a flash of sadness in Bruce Wayne's eyes. Jason was even more convinced. In fact, the most obvious thing about this is Harley Quinn. She was a good nurse. He is good-looking and has a gentle personality. But after meeting Joker, he was forced to become a madman. Not only do I love this Joker deeply, I also have a mental problem. He is still locked up in a special prison. So when dealing with an enemy like Joker, you can't let him do more than one. Just kill him and that's it. Bruce Wayne on the other side didn't know that Jason had such violent thoughts in his heart. Otherwise, I will definitely shout a traitor. That's how Harvey met Joker. The more extreme the light, the easier it is to fall into darkness. Joker first used sulfuric acid to disfigure Harvey and then messed with Harvey's mind with words. Harvey couldn't accept his disfigurement, so he became a shadow hiding in Gotham City. Two-Face. Bruce Wayne finished. Directly fell into silence. Jason also sighed. Harvey Dent's tragic childhood life did not have no impact on him. He suffered from the same disease as Banner, schizophrenia. According to scientific statistics, more than 90% of schizophrenia patients had miserable childhoods. So does Harvey. Behind his bright personality, there is another personality hidden. And Joker released this hidden personality. That's why Harvey Dent's actions are so unpredictable. He often determines his actions through a coin. At times, he was the most feared gang boss in Gotham. Sometimes, he helps Bruce Wayne fight crime. He is a very complex criminal. It's normal for Bruce Wayne to be frustrated when facing him. On the one hand, Batman never fails to kill people. Harvey Dent, on the other hand, was his good friend from the beginning. He still has certain expectations and has no determination to take action. Didn't die at the hands of Harvey Dent. He was lucky. Looking at Bruce Wayne, Jason couldn't bear it. Do you want me to help you deal with him? You? Bruce Wayne glanced at him. Never mind. He didn't question Jason's strength. To deal with Two-Face, you really don't need any powerful abilities. That's what he's worried about. Once Jason takes action, two-faced people simply cannot survive. Back when dealing with Joker, he could see how ruthless Jason was. He also knew that Jason was born in a place like the slums of Gotham. It's normal to develop this kind of personality. He is already thankful that he has not developed the habit of smoking, getting tattoos, or smoking tobacco. Just like that, he was planning to find a psychiatrist for Jason. I promise you, why not kill him? Jason said helplessly. Not to mention that Bruce Wayne is his cheap daddy. Just saying that Bruce Wayne was really nice to him. It's not just the various resources of the Wayne Group that are at his disposal. I usually care a lot about him. Before going out to do heroic things every day, I often talk to him. It is better to say that they are friends than father and son. Jason is not an ungrateful person. If someone treats him well, he will naturally remember it in his heart. Now Bruce Wayne is in trouble. Of course he wants to take action. Are you serious? Bruce Wayne asked suspiciously. What did I lie to you about? You have to think clearly. If you can't deal with him, Harvey Dent doesn't know what he's going to do. What if someone else takes action then? Gotham is a big city no less than New York. Of course, there is more than one superhero like Batman. Many other superheroes also operate in Gotham City. Bruce Wayne doesn't take action in case Two-Face messes with other superheroes. The possibility of being killed is also very high. The gap between super ability people and humans is really huge. Hear Jason say that. Bruce Wayne also hesitation. Jason is right about this. Gotham City 080 still has a lot of superheroes. Although not very strong. But there is no problem in dealing with a gang boss. Okay, then you must promise me not to kill him. If there is no death penalty in Gotham City, we cannot carry out private executions. Jason curled his lips when he heard this. Capitalism is really good. Abolition of the death penalty is commonplace. There is really no way for ordinary people to survive. After thinking about it, Jason said impatiently. Okay, I got it. I will definitely bring him back alive to you, and I will send him to Arkham Asylum. I'm going to help you upgrade the security system there. Tell it yourself. There are many people running away from your place. Jason was so full of things that he didn't even know where to start. Obviously he has no strength. You really want to trap these supervillains? No matter how powerful your mental hospital is, can it be more powerful than SHIELD's super prison? There are very few jailbreaks over there, let alone yours. If he doesn't help strengthen the defense, I'm afraid I've only been locked up for a few days. The villains ran out on their own. Bruce Wayne also sighed when he heard this. You can go ahead and upgrade. Arkham should really change. When he said this, Bruce Wayne's tone was full of fatigue. His heroic deeds were not so easy. Chapter 71 Graphite Dust Bomb. Please order in full. Please customize. When Jason decides to do something, there are very few people in Gotham City who can stop him, especially when he wants to find traces of a person. The ability of Skynet artificial intelligence is like a ghost on the internet. As long as you have used the internet, it is impossible to escape his search. Not to mention that Two-Face is a very low-key person. Thanks to the clear governance of Gotham City, the police are basically useless. The gangs in Gotham City are quite rampant. Most of it is on the surface. Even cooperating with the police is a very normal thing. Two-Face's base was quickly detected by Skynet. This is an abandoned factory in a slum. Because it is far away from the city and close to the pier, he was treated as his own factory by the Two-Faced man. Produce some contraband. The defense is very tight, and 40% of the entire gang's defense force is used here. Definitely, that's for Jason. It is simply a name only. Skynet, prepare the armor and load it with non-lethal weapons. When the time comes, give them a shot of saturated anesthetic gas to cover them. Jason chuckled. Wasn't he the one who was captured? It's so simple. Hundreds of rounds of ether diffusion bombs were fired into it, and the elephant was stunned. It's definitely possible that some unlucky guy breathed in an overdose of anesthetic gas and died. But what does this have to do with him? Are there any good people among these gangsters? Moreover, he's not like Bruce Wayne. He is not a messenger of justice. Also, Skynet, prepare anesthetic injections. Prevent these people from having gas masks on them. Jason patted his head and said suddenly, this is a double-faced factory. It is also very normal to prepare some gas masks inside, although it would not pose any fatal threat to him. But in the final analysis it is troublesome. It would be safer to bring some narcotic weapons. Soon, it was evening. In order to avoid exposing one's own strength, he scheduled his move at night. Avoid the risk of being seen by ordinary people. It's time. Jason started directly from his own laboratory. Soon we arrived at Doubleface's factory. Skynet, is the target still there? Master, the target is still there and has not left. According to the surveillance, the other party seems to be carrying out unknown criminal activities. Skynet's voice sounded next to Jason. Jason was not surprised at all. Anyway, the two-faced person is either committing a crime or on the way to commit a crime. Morgana committed a criminal activity. What's so strange about it? Now that we have determined that the target is internal, let's start taking action. Let some armors sneak in secretly and release ether gas. With emphasis, Jason asked Skynet to take action. Then the armor behind Jason. He began to act quietly. The propellers under his feet became silent, and it doesn't emit any light. Soon, colorless ether gas is dispersed throughout the factory. Lots of alert gangsters. He fainted immediately. Jason wore the armor directly. He walked into the factory openly. See if Two-Face is stunned. Swaggering into huge amounts of steel and tile factory buildings. Jason didn't have time to speak. The headlights of the factory are turned on directly. Ba bang bang. Applause rang out from the second-story steel structure of the steel factory. Jason looked up. Two-Face appears above. To be honest, if it weren't for half of his face being disfigured, Two-Face would still look very handsome. Just a pity. Today's two-faced man has half his face dissolved directly by sulfuric acid, making him look like a Terminator with half of his face exposed from the metal structure. However, what makes Jason strange is, he was not knocked out by the ether. How strange. You are supposed to be the legendary illegitimate son of Bruce Wayne, a man in steel armor. As soon as Two-Face saw Jason, he spoke directly. Although it was a question, his tone was very calm. It seems that this result is very certain. When Jason heard this, his heart changed. How does this bastard know his identity? Although he often goes out wearing battle armor, but the action is very secretive. The surrounding surveillance systems were also destroyed by Skynet. No one should know his identity. This is how the same thing. What are you talking about? I don't understand. I'm Iron Man, Jason said directly with nonsense. Although Two-Face looks very certain, but he can't admit it. He's not like that idiot Tony Stark. The desire to perform is so strong, making a fortune in silence is what he wants. Hear Jason say that. Two-Face smiled mockingly. You playboys, do you all like to pretend to be superheroes? So does Tony Stark in New York. It seems like he is the Iron Man, Two-Face said with a mocking look. Jason didn't answer his words, asked instead, compared to who I really am. Why you can remain calm is what I'm curious about. Don't you know that we never fight alone? With that said, Jason waved his hand. More than 20 pieces of armor appeared behind him. This kind of combat power is enough to attack a small country. It's more than enough. Jason brings so many armors. It's just a subconscious preparation. God knows if these gang members have any genetically mutated monsters. You can never go too far wrong. However, Two-Face didn't seem surprised by this. Instead, he said with some sigh, as expected of someone from Wayne Group, the price of these armors is probably billions of dollars, right? Two-Face said this. Jason's heart moved again. Why does this two-faced man seem to know his information very well? This shouldn't happen at all. Who leaked his information? Jason became increasingly curious about Two-Face. He wanted to know who leaked his information. Immediately, He was too lazy to talk nonsense with Two-Face. Just wave your hand and get ready to take action. 20 pieces of good armor came forward quickly. But just halfway through the flight, suddenly a burst of electric current appeared inside these armors, and then they struggled a few times. It fell to the ground. Young man, you are really far from your father. He is not as impatient as you. 11. As he said that, the two-faced man waved his hand. Dozens of them armed men in gas masks stepped out of the shadows. Not like a gangster at all. Instead, he looks like a professional soldier. Jason's eyes narrowed. I felt the condition of the armor on my body. Graphite dust bombs. I never thought you could get something like this. Jason felt a little surprised. Graphite dust bombs are not something that is easy to obtain. Can be used with military-grade graphite dust. The price is very expensive, not to mention making it into a weapon. Where did Two-Face get this thing? Jason suddenly became more interested in Two-Face. Chapter 72. AIM takes action. Please order in full. Please customize. The iron armor is a very powerful creation. It is the crystallization of the highest level of engineering. This does not mean that the steel armor does not have shortcomings, unless it's late. It's like asking you Stark to research nano armors. Otherwise, the steel armor is a complex engineering machinery. Any construction machinery, there must be circuits inside. The energy consumption of steel armor is very serious. Electronic equipment are loaded with various energy weapons. The internal circuit is very complex. Graphite dust bomb is a weapon specifically designed for this kind of equipment. Graphite is a conductor. The graphite particles that are ground into particles will adhere to the circuits of electronic equipment. When electric current is running, short circuits will occur in electronic equipment. This goes for any electronic device. All are unacceptable. The electronic precision electronic components inside the steel armor completely scrapped after short circuit. This is also the reason why all those steel armors were scrapped. Thinking about it, this is what makes Two-Face so calm. Otherwise, Two-Face will not act like a fool. Dare to face this highly maneuverable weapon of destruction. Seeing Jason, he stopped moving. Two-Face spoke again. Ha, Jason Wayne. 997. You know nothing about me, but I know you very well. What are you using to fight me? Jason laughed when he heard this. Say it as if these are your things. If there is no support behind the two-faced person, he twisted the head off to use as a urinal. Mr. Harvey Dent, you feel too good about yourself. In the entire Bald Eagle Empire, there are less than 10 arms dealers that can produce graphite dust bombs. Each military-grade graphite dust bomb has a market price of $3 million. Not to mention this kind of dust weapon arranged in advance. It's not enough for the whole space. At least 4 or 5 pieces are needed. It's not that I look down on you, Mr. Harvey Dent. Do you have that much money? Although Jason's tone was very calm, but the irony in it is obvious to everyone. Obviously, there are things you can learn from being friends with Tony Stark. At least, this taunting ability is maxed out. Harvey Dent turned red when he heard this. The ruined face on the other side was full of ferocity. Jason is right about one thing. He really couldn't afford that much money. It's not really impossible to get it out. I want to take out so much money. I'm afraid he has to sell all his assets. He's not crazy. How could this be done? But, knowing is one thing. It's another thing to be told. You are really as annoying as Bruce Wayne. The smell of hypocrisy is disgusting. Jason pouted again. Mr. Harvey, it's not your fault that you are ugly, but it is your fault that you come out to scare people. I have reason to suspect that you are jealous of the good looks of our Wayne family. When Two-Face heard this, he became even more angry. Since the disfigurement, what he hates is what others say about his appearance. A sharp-tongued boy. Originally, I wanted God to decide your life or death. But now it's time for me to make up my mind. I'm going to make your life worse than death. Two-Face's tone was very spiteful. It was hard for Jason to imagine. How did this person become the Light Knight of Gotham City? Could it be that the brighter a person is, the more ruthless Blackened will be? The thoughts in his mind did not block Jason's counterattack at all. Harvey Dent, you are ugly, but I think you are beautiful. Believe it or not, I'll beat the shit out of you today. When Two-Face heard this, his expression suddenly changed. Boy, if you're not curious, why am I talking so much nonsense to you? I'll tell you the answer now. I'm just stalling for time. 17. You have wings and can't escape. Jason pouted. I really don't know where Two-Face's self-confidence comes from. Can't he see that? CFBH, Two-Face is stalling for time? A breakdown of Gotham City's villains. The one who liked BB the most at the beginning was Joker, because he likes to confuse people. On the contrary, Two-Face is the kind of person who can take action and try not to be pushy. He just likes to flip coins and maintain his neurotic personality. And being a villain who likes to take action. Suddenly I'm talking to you. There are only 2 reasons for that. One is because he can't beat you. The second is because he is stalling for time. However, what is coming is very disturbing. Is this your trump card? Feel the vague pressure coming from your body. Jason's face was full of disappointment. Strong magnetic restraint device. If he were the Jason he was a few days ago, maybe it will really fail. The armor loses its effect. In addition, a strong magnetic restraint device can generate several tons of force in an instant. He couldn't change hands at all. Because of magnetism, The steel factory building next to it has to be shape-shifted. Two-Face didn't take Jason's statement seriously at all. You can't move now, can you? Jason whined. Bluffing won't do anything. You will die today, Harvey Dent said viciously. Mr. Harvey, that's not what our agreement says. Two-Face just got mad. A young voice came from beside him. A blond young man in a suit appeared next to him. This young man wears a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. He looks more elegant than him, like a young master from a big family. Behind him were two heavily armed soldiers. It can be said to be full of style. Jason was immediately interested. Coming. The mastermind behind the scenes appears. This is my place. Harvey Dent also showed his fangs. As he said that, a group of gangsters rushed out from outside. Although it seems that these gangsters have a variety of equipment, there is no way to compare with those fully armed soldiers. But there are so many of them. Each person has a knack, which is more than 100 guns. Not to mention, this seemingly ragtag group of guys also had several song RPGs. I don't know what the police in Gotham City do. Wow, Mr. Harvey, we at AIM are sincerely cooperating with you. It's so sad that you're like this, the young man said with a sad expression on his face. Makes it look very cool. Cooperation? You just want to use me, just in time. I want to take advantage of you too. Jason Wayne must die. The equipment you are wearing is also mine. A trace of greed flashed in Two-Face's eyes. Playing good old Jason down there. I felt like how in my heart. It's like watching an annual drama. The appearance of AIM surprised him. Two-Face surprised him even more. This guy actually wants to take advantage of both families? It's a good idea. But do you have the strength? Chapter 73 The Centipede Warrior Reappears. Please order in full. Please customize. The appearance of AIM, an old friend, was a bit beyond Jason's expectation. He thought about who was behind Two-Face, but I didn't expect it. These people turned out to be people from AIM. Think about it too. AIM is one of the few people who might know his identity. Anything can happen during a fight. It's not impossible to reveal your identity. Just didn't expect it. The people from AIM dared to chase him all the way to Gotham. He also contacted the local gang. But I guess the people at AIM haven't thought about it either. The psychopath Two-Face is more greedy than they imagined. I still want to take advantage of others. Jason is therefore seen as non-threatening. Don't put them aside. People from the two families started to fight. Two-Face believes that his more than 100 gangsters are very intimidating. More than 100 fully automatic rifles. Coupled with RPG, it is enough to fight a small local war. It is also very normal for Two-Faced people to be confident. However, the people at AIM are also very calm. There are obviously other trump cards. Mr. Harvey, do you really want to do this? This is very damaging to our friendship. Even to this point, the young man from AIM still looks very calm. I don't know what trump cards there are. Stop being pretentious. My men have investigated and there is no one else around here. The two-faced man said with a very disgusted expression. Hand over your equipment obediently. I might be able to keep your bodies intact. The two-faced man looked at the person opposite, his eyes full of greed. It seems that he has been planning for AIM's sophisticated equipment for a long time. This excellent military special equipment. But there is a price but no market. It's not something you can get with money. Gangsters like Two-Face want to get this thing. Totally impossible. He is naturally very greedy about this. So are Two-Face's men. Looking at these people's equipment, their eyes lit up. It's like seeing a fat wolf. The whole group of people became excited. In an instant, whistles, shouts, and the sound of guns being loaded filled the factory building one after another. The young man from AIM had pity in his eyes. What a pathetic person. Never know what true power is. Don't you know that numbers are meaningless in the face of absolute combat power? He finished. Suddenly there was a thumping sound from above the factory building. It was as if something heavy fell from the sky. Suddenly all the gangsters aimed their guns at the factory. Two-Face also pulled out his pistol and pointed it at the young man opposite. A ferocious smile flashed across his face. You'd better not act trashly. The young man at AIM smiled. He straightened the tie on his suit. It's really sad. The words have not yet finished. The young man turned into a black shadow. Two-Face hasn't reacted yet. Just flew up out of thin air. It hit the factory building next to it. It knocked a huge amount of dent into the iron sheet. Of course Jason can see clearly. The young man rushed out quickly, kicked Two-Face. Because the speed is too fast. Two-Face didn't react at all and was knocked out. Only at this time did the two-faced people react. While shouting and cursing uniquely to gangsters, while holding the crazy design of the AK in his hand, that posture was like that of the black uncles in a certain area. Not very good at marksmanship. The momentum is very strong. But soon, they screamed. It was a guy wearing a black body armor that fell from the sky. Go on a killing spree among gangsters. Those gangsters basically lost their fighting ability after just one punch, and because of being in the crowd. The gangsters outside didn't dare to shoot. After a while, he was beaten to pieces by these men in black. Many people started to run out. Jason sighed a little. He naturally recognized what these people were. It is AIM's Centipede warrior. What he didn't expect was, he, Tony Stark, and the people from SHIELD destroyed so many bases. The AIM people can actually produce so many Centipede warriors, even raising funds to deal with him. Sure enough, The centipede was dead but not stiff. Various secret organizations in this world. It's really annoying. A dozen modified centipede warriors. The strength is very powerful. 100 gang members in front of a centipede warrior. It was like chopping melons and vegetables. They were all beaten to pieces. Several centipede warriors rushed out. Jason could still hear the screams coming from outside. Saw took control of the situation. The blonde young man from AIM straightened his tie. Walk up to Jason, he said with a salute. Selden Gordon, Director of AIM Weapons Research and Development Department. I'm really sorry to meet in such an unreasonable way. Mr. Jason laughed. Jason carefully looked at the gentle scum in front of him. He asked, pretending to be hoarse. What is your purpose? Oh, I didn't expect Mr. Jason to be so straightforward. Then I don't want to show off. I would like to invite Mr. Jason to join our AIM Weapons Research and Development Department. You're such a genius. Your transformation of technology is also an art. Before you, I never thought that weapons could be so beautiful. Selden Dawson looked at the centipede warrior next to him. A trace of intoxication flashed across his face. Jason looked at it and cursed inwardly. 0.0. Another psychopath. Why is there so much perversion in this world? Still beautiful? It doesn't matter if she's a girl. She's 19, tall and muscular. How do you see beauty? After cursing a few words in his mind, Jason spoke again. You planted a spy in our Wayne group? Thinking of this, Kunzen was a little annoyed. He is still young. I didn't think about it at all. The confidentiality of various technologies is very inadequate. It is also very normal for technology to be stolen. There are 500 people in the Wayne Group headquarters alone. The Wayne family is relatively low-key. But to take care of Wayne Manor, there are nearly 200 people of various kinds inside. Not to mention, he had just expanded his biology laboratory. There are also 200 to 300 people. In a country where commercial espionage is normalized, some of the spies are just too normal. Not to mention, AIM is a large organization. If you don't send a few spies, Jason thought their leader was an idiot. Thinking of this, Jason became even more annoyed. Whether it is the past life or the present, he has no experience in this area. I didn't expect that I had been unaware of it all this time, and that I would actually fall into the trap. Selden didn't know the annoyance in Jason's heart. He smiled and said very happily, Mr. Jason is a genius. But these are just little tricks, not worth mentioning. Jason looked at Selden, who was smiling in front of him. I have the urge to explode him. He fell for all the little tricks. Doesn't it seem that his IQ is very low? Chapter 74 Recruitment. Please order in full. Please order in full. There was one thing Jason didn't expect. This AIM is indeed a villain organization. No taboos. After stealing his technology, he shamelessly recruited him. He even planned to brainwash him. Mr. Jason, a genius like you shouldn't be buried like this. As long as you join us at AIM, you can quickly gain power. If we rule the world in the future, you will definitely have a seat. Hearing this, Jason's mouth twitched. Rule the world? Is your organization still awake? Jason can only be described as ignorant and fearless. Not to mention SHIELD and various state violence agencies. Even the group of magicians under the Ancient One are not something ordinary organizations can afford to offend. Want to rule the world? Overthinking. Is this kid probably brainwashed? Mr. Jason, I know you don't believe in our lofty 143 ideal, but as long as you join our organization, after seeing our strength, I finally believe it. Jason looked at Selden, who looked serious. I was immediately speechless. This is hopeless. I have been completely brainwashed. What happens if I don't join your organization? Jason asked in a hoarse voice. Oh, Mr. Jason, I'm afraid you don't want to suffer that outcome. There was once someone as determined as you, but they all eventually became one of us. I really don't want a genius like you to be treated like that. Selden said this from the bottom of his heart, as if he was doing it for Jason's benefit. Jason understood. This AIM is probably no ordinary organization. I'm afraid there is some kind of hypnotic ability or brainwashing technology. Otherwise, Selden would not have spoken so confidently. Jason thought for a moment, then spoke. Okay then, I'll join you. Real? Selden asked in surprise. Definitely, I don't want to suffer, Jason said helplessly. Besides, we don't have any conflicts, right? Selden also spoke after hearing this. Yes, Mr. Jason, we have no conflict. We all want a better future for humanity, right? Jason cursed inwardly when he heard this. Just talk nonsense. Just now he said he wanted to rule the world. However, he still pretended to be conceited. That's right. Selden, now that I have joined you, can you cancel the strong magnetic restraints? This kind of pressure is uncomfortable. Jason complained. Definitely, Mr. Jason. It's just that you need to take off the armor first, Selden said with a gentle smile on his face. Okay then. Hurry up. Jason's tone seemed very helpless, like a young master who can't stand the abuse. Mr. Jason, I remind you not to make any small moves. Otherwise, it won't be us who get hurt. Selden breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Jason agree. Although the centipede warrior is powerful, but it can't fly. If Jason ran away, He wouldn't have anywhere to cry. Jason certainly had no intention of running away. Mr. Selden, you are overthinking. I know the strength of Centipede Warrior better than you. I won't do anything irrational. This is best. Selden was non-committal. Then call a Centipede Warrior to help Jason take off his armor. There was no disturbance in the process, and Jason didn't make any small moves. Selden saw the suit peeling off Jason. Then he breathed a sigh of relief. His tone also became sincere. In his opinion, Jason has a desire to cooperate. Besides, in his opinion, Jason had no essential conflict with them. Destroying their base was just because of the naughty child's temper. No matter how talented he is just a child. What a lie. Mr. Jason, the changes in you are incredible. Selden sighed when he saw Jason, who was 1.8 meters tall. Use your words. Jason rolled his eyes at him. That guy Tony Stark always said I was short. Who is shorter now? Selden heard this. The corners of his mouth twitched secretly. He is indeed a naughty kid. In order to fight for the spirit, the body can be transformed. He is a ruthless person. However, he still complimented against his will. Mr. Jason is naturally a genius. How can Tony Stark compare with you? That's natural, Jason admitted without hesitation, making Selden groan in his heart. Mr. Jason, it's getting late. Let's go to our AIM first. My boss has been admiring you for a long time. Selden licked his face and said, there's no rush yet. Jason said nonchalantly. Mr. Jason wants to regret it? Selden asked with a fierce light flashing in his eyes. Definitely not yet. Jason waved his hand. If a genius like me joins your organization, isn't there any preferential treatment? If that's the case, why should I do things for you? It turns out it's about benefits. Selden felt relieved. Mr. Jason, don't worry, there will definitely be great benefits to joining our AIM. When you join our organization, you can't help but get rich resources and see some high-tech technologies, and being able to have a huge amount of labs. Even we can become your subordinates, Selden explained slowly. As a result, Jason pressed his nose and said, this treatment is not very good. Is it okay if we have some from Wayne Group in the laboratory? Selden choked suddenly. AIM is indeed a big company with a big business. It may surpass Wayne Group in terms of strength, but like Jason's own laboratory, they really don't have many. Let Jason be the heir to the Wayne Group. Just having money? This, definitely. As long as you make enough contributions, you can have a better laboratory, Selden said bravely. Jason licked his nose disdainfully again. Then the treatment from your organization isn't that good. We also have a lot of new technologies, Selden said hurriedly. Is it as powerful as the one I developed myself? I developed the steel armor and improved the Centipede Warrior. Do you have better technology? Selden choked again. Damn it, a naughty kid or something, so annoying. 4.8. This, definitely. We have other technologies as well, Selden said somewhat vaguely. Jason saw his look and sun-mouthed. If this AIM wasn't well hidden, they would have killed it long ago. You don't have anything and you're still trying to trick others into joining? Then your AIM must have something worthy of my participation, right? Jason asked. Selden said hurriedly upon hearing this. Definitely, Mr. Jason. We at AIM are a large multinational organization with very strong capital. There are branch bases of our organization throughout the Americas. Many big companies have our shares. As long as you join, you will definitely get great rights. After speaking, Selden looked at Jason eagerly. That posture, not like a villain. On the contrary, it's a bit pitiful. Chapter 75, Deceit. Please order in full. Please customize. Maybe Selden really thought Jason was going to join AIM. Told Jason a lot of information. AIM is ostensibly a weapons research company. Actually a huge amount of multinational organization. Across America, all have AIM bases. The financial strength is also very strong, and we have a deep network of relationships in various aspects. Only, Selden was vague about the origin of these things. When Jason heard this, he was shocked at first. Then came the deep doubts. What does Nick Fury, the spy chief, do for a living? Can such a large organization be invisible under his nose? When I went out to destroy AIM some time ago, it was just a small fuss. Stopped after destroying a few secret bases. There was no intention of pursuing it further. Jason once suspected that Nick Fury had been switched. Wrong. It's impossible for Nick Fury to be traded, but that's not necessarily the case for others. An idea suddenly appeared in Jason's mind. SHIELD is no longer just SHIELD. Hidden in the shadow of SHIELD is an organization with a longer history, Hydra. Even the deputy director of SHIELD, Company 25, is from Hydra. If AIM and Hydra were involved, it might be hidden. The more Jason thought about it, the more he felt that this guess was very possible. His guess was very well founded. Within an area, capital is limited after all. On the same road, there are large transnational organizations such as SHIELD, Hydra, and AIM. Is it possible? Don't forget, inside this area, there are other organizations with larger file sizes and smaller ones. The resources of the Americas simply cannot support the development of these organizations. Then the answer is obvious. Some of these organizations are definitely related. The independence between organizations coupled with Hydra is very strong. Various organizations are united under various smugglers. It is possible. It's very simple to verify this. Looking at the expectant Selden in front of him, Jason said quietly, "Hail Hydra." Hearing this, Selden's face was filled with shock. Looking at Jason in disbelief. "Hail Hydra." "Mr. Jason, you too?" Selden asked hastily. Jason nodded calmly. "Whose men are you? Pierce or Whitehall?" "Probably not a baron." Jason seemed to be talking to himself, but all the sounds reached Selden's ears. Selden was very shocked when he heard this. He is considered a minor leader among AIM. "But I don't know much about Hydra. All I know is that the AIM he works for is a branch of Hydra. Their leader is Whitehall, the veteran of Hydra." He didn't know the names of the other Hydra leaders. Now listen to Jason say this. He was suddenly shocked. I think Jason might be Hydra's big shot. Jason looked at Selden, whose face was full of shock, smirking inwardly. Modern Selden is just like the original SHIELD bald agent Sidwell when he heard Captain America lied to him. Completely unbelievable. Then he was directly cheated out of the infinite gems in his hand. Selden now also looked confused. "Mr. Jason, how is that possible?" "How is it impossible? Our Wayne family is a very old family." Jason gave Selden a meaningful look. Selden suddenly had a lot of thoughts. What ancient times Hydra was founded on? I heard that many Hydra families are hiding in the shadows. See one head, grow two heads and so on. Selden immediately thought of the Wayne family as one of the oldest families in Hydra. The expression on his face immediately became respectful. Although Hydra does not belong to each other, but there is still communication between the leaders. He couldn't afford to offend a secretive smuggler. "Mr. Jason, it turns out we are all in the same group. 17. I was disrespectful in the past. Please forgive me." Jason waved his hand indifferently. "Ignorance is not guilty. Since you don't know my identity, it is not an offense. It's just that you can tell me something more in depth now." Jason glanced meaningfully at Selden again, pretending to be some kind of Hydra big shot. "Mr. Jason, it's not that I don't want to say it, but I really don't know anything anymore." Selden had a wry smile on his face. As he said that, he wiped his cold sweat. "I am just a small character. I have never met Mr. Whitehall." Jason's eyes narrowed and he stared at Selden, his eyes full of oppression. Selden was so frightened that he almost knelt down. "Mr. Jason, you also know that our Hydra system is strict." "I really don't know anything anymore," Selden said hurriedly. "That's a shame." Jason sighed and said. "What's the pity?" Selden asked with some confusion. "It's a pity that you are of no use anymore." After Jason finished speaking, the expression on his face suddenly became very ferocious. Then he punched out. Selden would never have thought of that. Jason, who was very friendly just now, was completely unprepared. That circle hit Selden directly. Hundreds of tons of force, punched out at a speed exceeding factors. Selden, the transformed centipede warrior. It's like a plastic bag filled with water. Didn't even have time to react. It was blown up directly. Red plasma was everywhere. The ground within a few meters was covered in blood. Jason looked like he was dyed red by fuel. The whole person is red. 963 looks like a devil. At this time, the surrounding AIM members reacted. Several centipede warriors pounced directly on him. The special team members behind them opened fire directly with the firearms in their hands. But the ruthlessness in the hands of these special team members is sophisticated. The caliber is very small. Not even the AK-47 in the hands of gangsters. In front of this total monster like Jason, it has no effect at all. The bullet just penetrated the skin. It was clamped by extremely powerful muscles. He was squeezed out directly. Then the wound healed quickly. At this time, several centipede warriors also rushed up. Every warrior who has been transformed. The power can even approach Captain America. Lifting a car is very easy. Blessed by powerful force. Centipede warriors are also very fast. The fist hit Jason directly. If you are an ordinary person with these few punches, I'm afraid all the bones in his body will be broken, become a bag wrapped in blood. Only, in front of a monster like Jason who has been strengthened by gamma strengthening medicine. It's almost like scratching an itch. Jason didn't even move. A sinister smile appeared on Jason's face. "It's my turn." The sound of sonic boom suddenly sounded. Jason's fist sent ripples through the air. Hit a centipede warrior. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, link in the description. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.